away from home. You don't know who's watching.
Most of the time we think when we post online we're on vacation, it's our friends looking, but there are some nefarious folks that are following you.
Travel vlogger Mark Walters says that status update about your 2-week vacation is an invitation to scammers and burglars.
Your house is not going to be occupied by yourself.
I'm Rob Hart.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-384-9393. That's 800-384-9393.
Pressure doesn't crush champions, it creates them. On the court, UConn's AZ Fudd, Caroline Ducharme, Morgan Shelley, and Sarah Williams rise to the moment with skill, preparation, and teamwork. At BPS Lawyers, we meet pressure the same way, with confidence, discipline, and results.
Champions win together, on the court and in the courtroom.
One full-service firm, all your legal needs, always. BPS Lawyers, your lawyers for life. Visit bpslawyers.com.
Come to Cloder Farms.
When people come to Cloder Farms, the first thing they say is, wow, they really have something for every part of my home. Dining furniture, sofas, mattresses, kitchens.
Outdoor furniture, pool houses, sheds, from outdoor structures to solid wood furniture. Cloder Farms has everything for your home and your yard.
It's a great time to buy.
Come to Cloder Farms.
Pressure doesn't crush champions, it creates them. On the court, UConn's AZ Fudd, Caroline Ducharme, Morgan Shelley, and Sarah Williams rise to the moment with skill, preparation, and teamwork. At BPS Lawyers, we meet pressure the same way, with confidence, discipline, and results.
Champions win together, on the court and in the courtroom.
One full-service firm, all your legal needs, always. BPS Lawyers, your lawyers for life. Visit bpslawyers.com.
Spring cleaning is upon us, but there's one meaningful box that you don't throw away when cleaning out your closet. It's the box filled with your family's important videotapes, film reels, and photos. Hi, I'm Adam Baselogger.
And I'm Nick Mako. We started Legacy Box over a decade ago to help families organize and update their analog media to digital.
Legacy Box is simple and easy. It works and is safe. Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box.
And Legacy Box has been featured in Good Housekeeping, The Today Show, and Rachel Ray.
Legacy Box is like magic, converting your shoebox of memories to the cloud or thumb drive, ready to watch and share.
Declutter your closet by digitizing your media. Become more organized and accomplished, knowing your family's recorded past is safe forever. Take advantage of our spring cleaning sale going on now. It's the easiest task to check off your to-do list.
For a limited time, you can get started for just $9 a tape. Visit legacybox.com/radio to get our $9 sale. That's legacybox.com/radio to get our $9 offer. Legacybox.com/radio.
Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! I am furious! Man, oh man, oh man! I might take on what James Carville said and start throwing ish. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I want to start off by saying that... Let me start off by saying this, okay? When I know this is going to seem like I'm mean. Roseanne says I'm the nicer one. I'm not. I'm really not. To you folks, I'm very, very nice. But to these people, not so much. And the reason why it's not jealousy, it's not envy. I wouldn't give their job to a monkey on a rock. These people chose their lives. And whatever reason they chose them, they've got to deal with it in the criticism. So let me start by saying, to the family of Stephen Jones, I hope you understand that what I'm about to say has nothing to do with your grief, how I feel about the events that took place, where your brother and your family member died. You and I may differ on that debate, but my debate with you or with anyone else on that is legitimate in the sense of I have an opinion and you have an opinion, and it's not about if your opinion is more emotional or if I think you're too emotional. Everything that you feel and your point of view is valid because it is your point of view. I have never dismissed it, and you guys know that. There is nothing here on the record that says that I have been dismissive of the family members there. I have questioned their behavior in the sense of whether or not they kept dangerous items out of Stevie's hand or if they were qualified to be his caregiver, considering the circumstances of his death. But never once have I been foul, disrespectful. I just disagreed. But to everybody else, Benjamin Crumb, these local rabble-rousers, those are the people I'm critical of because, again, to them, this is an opportunity. They will dig their hands deep into the soul of Stevie's memory and smear it on themselves to get camera attention. And none of those fools can convince me otherwise. Al Sharpton got a police escort. For what? For what? Al Sharpton's no dignitary. He's an elected official. Where? Where? Is he some sort of celebrity? Where do we do that? I saw 7 police cars escorting that man past me 9 minutes after the memorial was supposed to begin. Al Sharpton had a police escort, and his bum ass was late to a memorial that ain't got nothing to do with him. And they were holding up the grieving family who were there as his casket sat in front. Everybody there is waiting on someone who is unaffiliated to the man who has died. They're waiting on the celebrity to show up. And he didn't have the decency to show up on time at all and had a police escort. Every one of those men, those family members didn't have no police escort. And by the way, if I may say so, what were the armed guards doing outside? Why were there police officers outside with long rifles? For Al Sharpton? Let me hip everybody to the jibe. Nobody is going to martyr that man. No one is. He is well protected by his own scummery. You understand me? Laying a finger on Al Sharpton would only promote him more. Trust me, he's fine. Don't nobody want him. That's the reason why during the hip-hop East Coast, West Coast beefs Flow Rider still exists because nobody wanted to hear his records during his birthday every year. That's why. But I digress. I sat there. I show up at 11:30. I was going to be there at 11 o'clock to see if I could get a little, maybe one-on-one with Benjamin Crumb. But no, he's got people standing there. I was like, nah, brother. He's speaking now. He's having a meeting now. Ben Crumb is an attorney. Why does he have a security detail? Ben Crumb's not, he's barely a civil rights leader. He's just some hack attorney. He's an ambulance chaser. You must be black in the ambulance, though. But he's an ambulance chaser. And I see all these brothers standing around soft talking at every time. Hi, I'd like to speak to Benjamin Crump. Is he available? Yeah, brother, you have to wait a minute. I can't see him over there in a meeting. It's like, what are we soft talking for? What is this about? Yeah, brother, man, good to meet you, man. Absolutely. You know, he's over there having a meeting. No, he's not. He's bumping his gums with some other loser who's here trying to get the shine. And I wasn't kidding yesterday. That's exactly what they were doing. Ugh. Rubbing elbows with each other, getting their shine. Where was the NAACP, by the way? But when I walked in, let me say this. I'm just going to be real with you. A lot of brothers saw Reese on the radio. They saw the hat. They saw the logo. They saw WTIC, which I wear every time I go to these events. And yes, they were shook. That's right. I love it. You shaking your boots as soon as they heard my name. Hey, yeah, Reese on the radio. Hey, man. Hey, brother. How you doing? How you doing? They know. The Reaper has come. They didn't want to have anything to do with me. All that loud talking, tough talk, and all of that civil rights nonsense. As soon as I walk in, nobody had a word. Nobody had a word. But I said, hey, man, where's your boy? Where's your boy? He's running late. We're going to hold the press conference when he shows up. We're going to hold it at 12:45, they said. Was it 12:45? Yeah, it's 12. Yeah, sorry, 11:45 it was supposed to be because the service is supposed to start at noon. 11:45. We're going to have it at 11:45. I'm looking, 3 minutes till. I look up. Hey, anything going on? Guy walks up and says, it'll be 2 minutes. I'm looking, I'm like, okay. I don't see Al. I didn't see his car roll up. Did he come in the back? What's going on? Then Benjamin Crump comes up to the podium. It's 11:50. Al Sharpton's getting a police escort, and he'll be here shortly. I'm waiting. 12 o'clock comes along. All of a sudden, 12:02. I'm like, I can't do this. I got another press conference. I got to get over there, man. Secretary of State and Governor, they're going to give a press conference on the SAVE Act. I got to be there for that. I start driving. Soon as I hit the road, 5 minutes away from the church, trying to get to the next press conference, all of a sudden I'm hearing in the distance, woo, 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 woo. It's getting louder and louder. Woo, woo. Oh, woo, woo, woo. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, that must be him. I look at my watch and I go, it's 12:09. He's just pulling up now? And he held a press conference? His body sitting at the front of the pews, and Al Sharpton is dragging his behind? I said, man, F these people. I'm out. We got his audio, though. Might as well play it. Here's Al Sharpton for all it's worth. Remember, this is a guy who only saw the videotape and has been briefed on it by Benjamin Crumb.
This case represents how you treat us differently when you come, and this case warrants us to ask policemen how they can come to a scene and override the decisions of the policemen already on the scene.
What are you talking about, Al? You're contradicting yourself. There were police officers who were already there. They didn't do anything. and you say how they treat us. Well, how they were treating us, in your words, well, they didn't pull their guns. You can't have it both ways, dum-dum.
He just got there. He felt under threat, if that's going to be his defense, but they weren't threatened. None of them shot. None of them took out their guns.
Yes, which, again, completely destroys your stupid freaking argument in the beginning. Listen to it.
This case represents how you treat us differently.
Yes, how they treat you differently. They don't shoot you until it's warranted. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't, which is another classic case. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. No one was there with the exception of the family. Okay? There was no strong show of support. Okay? You have to understand, it's impossible for people to drive outside of Hartford to come down to this church. Why? It's simple. That brings me right to the Secretary of State, ladies and gentlemen, and that is they don't have driver's licenses. They don't have driver's licenses, right? And they don't have proper ID. And if they don't have driver's licenses, they would have been driving illegally and they don't own cars. So there you go. A whole bunch of people, you hold the funeral in a place that nobody can get to in the black community, and that's why scarcity inside the rooms. That's why. But stand by, folks. The entire day was not lost. It was not lost. I got to meet a lot of amazing people. I got to. WFSB, I want to give them a shout out today. I get on their case too. But I'll explain to you what happened there with two reporters at two events from WFSB. And also, I got to speak to a politician. Got him on tape too. That one was a surprise to me. I couldn't believe it. Hey, what are you doing here? I got to talk to that politician, so stay tuned for that because I still got to upload the audio. I didn't get here until about 1:19 because I'm driving all over town. And I even saw our very own Dave Mager. Imagine being out in the field and seeing one of the news guys up there. Hey, how you doing? What are you doing here? Dave Mager out in the field. Did Reverend Al pass the plate to finance his visit? I didn't get to see that. I apologize, Lori. I wanted to very much. I wanted to see all of that. I did. Chris says, Reese, I am glad you had the chance to see the Poor, Poor Me show today. It has guidelines in which to operate. It is all a show. Can you tell if you can think of a good reason why you would pay these people to even open their mouths? I don't know, but again, you know, the objective is to test the waters. You bring in Benjamin Crumb, you bring in Al Sharpton. They are what you call the media bait, right? When Sharpton shows up, if the cameras do, lawsuit. You're saying, see, public interest, milk it. That's how it works. Now, Al Sharpton shows up, they look around. Who's here? Local media. Can't get a lot out of this. Sure, we'll get some Connecticut burn. That's fine, but you know what? Nobody else at the other networks are here. All right. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if any national news covers it. Brett Baer might. It's quite possible. Brett Baer might cover it on a special report, but we'll watch out for that. We'll see what happens. When we come back, on the other side of the break, I will share with you the audio of the politician I got to speak to today. Someone I've talked about here. And what else? Let me see. And the two reporters from WFSB who I met at both events. And they're going to be guests on the show, which I'm very excited about. So we'll talk to you about all of that and much, much more. Go nowhere. You know we got the Red Sox today just after 3 o'clock, so you're going to have to switch over to either WTIC.com or ReeseOnTheRadio.com for the show if you want to continue to tune in. So we appreciate that. Go Red Sox. It is their first game of the year, isn't it? It's game one. It's got to be. Roland's is he even looking at me? I don't even know if he's looking at me. I see his head there. Well, we got that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views, and more surprises when we return. It's Reese on the Radio.
For over 150 years, Thomaston Savings Bank has been part of the community you call home. No distant headquarters, no shifting priorities, just a steady, reliable partner who knows you and your goals. I'm Steve Lewis, President and CEO. While big banks merge and rebrand, we remain local, independent, and focused on serving our neighbors. Your needs are evolving, and you deserve a bank that grows with you, not away from you. If you're ready for stability and personal connection, we're here to welcome you. Learn more at thomastonsb.com. Thomaston Savings Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Many times, a person hires a law firm after an injury without doing research. It can be a big mistake or not. Sometimes, after you have hired a certain lawyer, you realize you made a certain mistake. But guess what? Just because you hire them doesn't mean you can't fire them. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you think you've hired the wrong firm, you may have. So do this. Google Morgan & Morgan results or visit forthepeople.com for cases just like yours. You may find that our full-service injury firm should have been your choice in the first place. Last year, almost 12,000 people discharged their law firm and hired us after further research. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. Visit forthepeople.com today and let's get started. Or call Pound Law on your cell phone. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Herbie Fisher. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-269-3454. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-269-3454 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-269-3454 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-269-3454.
And now, a WTIC news update.
.230 Hartford temperature 63 degrees. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. WTIC Weather Center sees mainly I'll call it a mix of clouds and sun for this Thursday. All the forecast details coming up. Funeral for the man shot by police in Hartford last month on Blue Hills Avenue is taking place today. Stephen Jones is being laid to rest. He was shot February 27th after refusing orders to drop a knife. The Inspector General is investigating. A teen narrowly missed being hit by a stray bullet Wednesday in the town of Plainfield. Police say the 13-year-old was in a bedroom of a condo complex when the shot tore through. Officers are investigating that as a drive-by shooting, they say. During a cabinet meeting today, President Trump said Iran has made a show of faith during negotiations, letting some oil-filled tankers get through the Strait of Hormuz.
They're going loaded up with oil right through, and I said, well, I guess they were right, and they were real, and I think they were Pakistani flagged. Yes. And I said, well, I guess we're dealing with the right people.
Former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife in a New York courtroom today. They're looking to have their drug trafficking indictments tossed out. Maduro's lawyer is arguing that the U.S. is violating the deposed leader's constitutional rights by blocking Venezuelan government funds from being used to pay his legal costs. Baseball opening day for many of the clubs today. Of course, the Yanks and the Giants got things going for the 2026 campaign yesterday. Red Sox are in Cincinnati to open the 26 season against the Reds. We'll have that for you here on TIC. The pregame is 3:10. First pitch around 4:10 or so, given depending on how long the opening day ceremonies go. You can hear regular programming on WTIC.com or the Odyssey app. WTIC News Time 2:32. Here's Bob with the forecast.
Temperatures in the Hartford area this afternoon and some other parts of the interior will be 20 degrees above average, reaching the low 70s, ranging down to the 60s as you go south and east of Hartford and closer to 59 or 60 along some portions of the immediate shoreline. We'll have a southwest breeze at 10 to 20 miles per hour and a mix of sun and clouds. Sunset at 7:10 this evening. There will be some showers and areas of rain around tonight. A rumble of thunder not out of the question. Temperatures stay mild much of the night in the 50s to around 60, dropping back toward 50 toward sunrise tomorrow. Any lingering showers end early Friday morning. Then it becomes partly to mostly sunny with temperatures between 45 and 50 during the day. Partly cloudy and cold Friday night. Lows in the 20s. Mostly sunny Saturday with a few fair weather clouds mixing in. The high only in the upper 30s to about 40 degrees. I'm meteorologist Bob Cox in the WTIC Weather Center.
67 in Hartford. Dow's down 398. NASDAQ is down 446, and the S&P's off 95 points. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
For over 150 years, Thomaston Savings Bank has been part of the community you call home. No distant headquarters, no shifting priorities, just a steady, reliable partner who knows you and your goals. I'm Steve Lewis, President and CEO. While big banks merge and rebrand, we remain local, independent, and focused on serving our neighbors. Your needs are evolving, and you deserve a bank that grows with you, not away from you. If you're ready for stability and personal connection, we're here to welcome you. Learn more at ThomastonSB.com. Thomaston Savings Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Come to Cloder Farms.
When people come to Cloder Farms, the first thing they say is, wow, they really have something for every part of my home. Dining furniture, sofas, mattresses, kitchens.
Outdoor furniture, pool houses, sheds, from outdoor structures to solid wood furniture. Cloder Farms has everything for your home and your yard.
It's a great time to buy.
Come to Cloder Farms.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With a Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
I wanted a new color printer to add pizzazz to my prints.
Ooh, pizzazz can be pricey.
Well, now at Staples, you get up to 30% off select HP printers.
30% off HP?
Yeah, I saved $120 on an HP Smart Tank 6001 with up to 3 years of ink included.
Why, that could be the last printer you'll ever need.
Could be.
Shop your local Staples today for big savings on HP.
That was easy.
Available in-store, online, or on the app. It's 404 exclusions apply.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/protect. That's ethos.com/protect. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Are you a commercial building owner in Southern New England? Are you frustrated with your roof services? Contact Eagle Rivet Roof Service today. Our skilled technicians provide tailored roof repair and maintenance programs to maximize your building's lifespan. With 24/7 emergency response and comprehensive service options, we are Greater New England's trusted commercial roofing provider. Visit EagleRivet.com for a complimentary inspection or call 860-953-1231. Protect your investment with Eagle Rivet.
Winning doesn't start on game day. It starts with preparation, trust, and the right team. Just ask UConn's Braylon Mullins.
I trust the team at BPS Lawyers.
just like I trust my teammates on game day.
At BPS Lawyers, we prepare like champions, fighting for you in personal injury, family law, and more.
I'm Nick Painderas. At BPS Lawyers, we're one full-service firm. All your legal needs, always.
BPS Lawyers, your lawyers for life.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
Something happened. Oh, there we go. So I arrive at this memorial, and I see the usual suspects out there. I don't know any of their names, nor do I care. I don't want to be buddies or pals with them anyway. But they all know me. And I make sure. I come in there, you know, I might as well come in there with a big giant target on my back. So they know. It's Reese on the radio, WTIC. I'm wearing the logo just so they know. And, you know, when I go to these events, I'm not going to lie. I expect someone to say something disrespectful. Like I go there waiting for it. So no one does, and people are very, you know, very timid around me. And they know I don't come there to play anyway, so I'm not concerned about it. And so I'm standing around, I'm looking, I'm seeing the usual reporters there. And I see Dylan Fearon. I'll get to him in a second because he and I had a great exchange. We talked for a lot of time while we were there waiting. And he's a fun guy. He was famously the reporter who was standing outside of that building. They were supposed to have the protest where they promised they were going to be blocking traffic. Well, I've got a recap for that. You don't want to miss it. So when we go to WTIC.com and ResearchRadio.com, you got to follow us there because there's so much stuff I have to do for you to listen to. You don't want to miss this. Like I said, even though I really didn't get an opportunity to push back on a whole bunch of questions, the day was not lost. And I don't want you to miss any of it. So anyway, we'll get to him in a sec. So I'm there, and I see a guy who I recognize. And when I say I recognize him quick, lickety-split, like, huh? What? And for me, it's foul that he would show up here. That's just my view. I wouldn't have done it. I just wouldn't have done it because it gives poor optics, especially when there is real contention. But why was it done? Because, again, usually let's keep the pitchforks away from me. And he just gave a State of the City address recently, and the protesters were screaming him down. He had to show up. And it was none other than Mayor Arunin. And I caught up with him.
Mr. Mayor, how you doing? You know who I am? Your face looks familiar. Oh, okay.
Reese on the radio.
Okay, yeah.
I've been dying to get in a room with you to get some audience with you.
Okay.
Is it possible to come on the show?
Yeah. Do you have contact information for my...
I have your office. I've even spoken to you. You know, did you get to see the video that we had on that hit and run you were investigating?
No.
Your office hasn't shown it to you? Yeah, we have an exclusive video on the angle.
Which hit and run especially?
The one at the ICE facility during the protest?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there.
Okay.
I was there live.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, we have a video of it that we behind, which is completely different angle. It's actually parallel with the vehicle and the events as it took place. We caught it live. Okay. The entire event. I'm trying to get into your office. We even talked to your assistant, but he didn't want to after your press conference, he didn't want to get the information to you. So
Which press conference?
the press conference you had when you said
After
you were going to have,
the ICE
when you were going to have the investigation.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had the video. We were trying to get it to them, but
Okay.
they kind of gave us a little bit of a runaround. So
I'll
I
check
told them,
with
I know you have a
myself.
relationship with our station, but
Yeah.
we
I've
posted
been,
the
I've
video.
been through many times.
No, I know.
So
But I know you come on
yeah,
Brian's
yeah.
show a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm the afternoon host.
Got
so
you.
I've been there. I took over for Todd Feinberg.
Okay.
Okay. So we'd love to have you on. We're trying really, really hard to get you on.
Okay.
All right.
I'll check with myself.
Okay.
For sure.
I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks,
okay?
Reese.
All right. Thank you, man.
So we got him on the record. He knew we were recording. I told him now I would talk about it on the air today. Let him know we expect him to come on now. Turns out he had no idea who I am, aside from some people who said that he did. Liars. Anyway, I'm not going to call anybody out, but, he knows who you are. Yeah. They also told me that he knew about the video. Turns out he knew nothing about it. Liars. You understand? See, this is what I am trying to get across to folks, right? When people get mad and they get angry at me that I don't want to talk to the underlings, right? They're the gatekeepers. No, we'll get it to them. As soon as they start handing me a card, yeah, give it. Nope, not interested. I say to the guy right in front of him, hey, I need a direct contact with you. I don't want to go through your underlings. No offense. These guys will make you look like idiots, and they will. So I made sure that and again, I saw them. Now, everybody else in the press, they stood back in their little positions and whatnot. Soon as I saw the mayor, I walked right out of the gaggle. As all the families and everybody was getting together and they were trying to have a peaceful, that's why it was so low, because I didn't want to be shouting. But I made sure I put the mic right up to him. Let him know who I was. Shook his hand. Got real close. Once I showed him the logo, went just like that, poked to my chest, showed him W. He's like, oh, okay. I knew there were a lot of people lying to me. I know they were BSing me. We told them who you are. You didn't tell this man nothing. And I got to go out there on the field myself. I got to pound the flesh. I hate that term. I got to go out there and actually meet these people. I got to be my own PR guy. Happened to be driving by the First Cathedral when Sharpton Convoy came by. Why is someone who is anti-gun have your armed security? Couldn't tell you, Mark. Couldn't tell you. And of course, I just got Adam. What's his name? City Hall Adam just sent me a video of him going to see the mayor, and then people running around. I'm crying. That's Al Sharpton. Foolish. He's no celebrity. He's barely a TV host. And this guy out there chinning and grinning. Hi, how y'all doing? Reverend Al here. This guy's a movie clown. I can't with this dude. I can't believe it. I just touched Al Sharpton. Go wash your hands now. Don't you dare touch me. No. Here's some sanitizer. Yeah, no. You look at you, grease all over you. I don't want no parts of that. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, I'm not fascinated by these people. I know that people are. I'm not fascinated by them. Someone sent me I think it was Kathleen just sent me a text. She just said that, she was not surprised to see that the church is humongous, by the way. The church where they were having this event, it's clearly an evangelical sort of like mega church, whatever it is. Yeah, there were not a lot of, I was surprised that I got parking because I thought it was going to be like wall to wall. Nope. Is that how it is on a regular Sunday? Yeah, well, that place is like the parking lot is ridiculous. Wasn't a soul there. It was the front and the side. That's it. Telling you, nobody showed up. This is not that event. This is nothing again, no disrespect to Stevie. This was, again, his memorial was better served in his hometown at a local church. Trying to turn his death into a spectacle was disrespectful in all. I even asked the question. Here's the thing. You want to talk about the interest in this, okay? Think about this. And this is the part that everybody should have been asking. It's a mega church, right? And they had a full staff on a Thursday, Roland. We're talking about the ushers were women and men. All the women dressed up in uniform with the white gloves, okay? And we're talking a full staff. They had full security doing the wand. Wee weep, wee weep, wee weep. I thought that somebody's smoke detector was going off. Like, wee weep, wee weep. When you go into the West State, they had full security. Plus, they had state police, or at least the local police, with long guns outside. And the place was practically empty. And I asked the one simple question to the press that was there. Hey, folks, who's footing the bill for this? And everybody goes, I don't know. Maybe the family?
Yeah.
What do you mean, maybe? It ain't the family. Security, ushers, long guns? This family ain't putting that. If this family had the money to put that up, don't you think Stevie would have had better care? Come on. Let's be honest. He would have died. He would have died on the north side. Let's be truthful here. Okay? They didn't have the money for this. So somebody then goes, I think it may have been the NAACP. So they're paying for the spectacle now. Everybody's got a little angle in. And that's what I really believe. I think the whole deal is Crum comes in first, Sharpton second, NAACP foots the bill, and then it's fleece the city, everybody gets their cut, and then the family gets paid.
Yeah.
That's exactly how this is going to work. But I told you, and I meant it from the bottom of my heart, there are no slices. None. Nobody. Everybody is cut off. This isn't that kind of case. They could try. I'm going to make a hell of a ruckus about it. A hell of a ruckus. So, I don't know. Like I said, I saw it and I just went, damn, where's the community at? And when I say the community wasn't there, brother, they weren't there. Nobody showed up. And that's the part that aches right now, is because everybody's got an opinion on this, but they had no interest in showing up. And it totally, for me, it makes exactly clear to me why the J. Allen Jones thing did not get any attention, because that's a real tragedy. And no one showed up for that. It's like, how do I put this? There is no gas in the tank for this kind of rhetoric anymore, and especially not here in Connecticut. These activists are weak. They just are. It sucks, but it just is. When we come back, I'll talk to you about WFSB and a prediction that I had that came true. And I actually got confirmation from the person that I was talking about. Stand by for that. It's Reese on the radio.
Eat it up, the hard-fought yard goats. Eat it up.
The long, cold winter is over. The Yard Goats return home to Duncan Park Thursday, April 2nd with a giveaway for all fans presented by Munson's Chocolates. Friday night, it's our first explosive fireworks show of the year. And Saturday is a 1 p.m. game, and it's Bluey Day. Bring the kids to meet Bluey. It's also Bark in the Park, presented by Piper Veterinary. Get your tickets now before they're gone at yardgoatsbaseball.com.
Eat it up.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Champions are defined not by moments of glory, but by what they put in to get there. On the court, UConn's AZ Fudd, Caroline Ducharme, Morgan Shelley, and Sarah Williams show what it takes. And here in Connecticut, BPS Lawyers brings that same commitment in the courtroom.
National champions on the court, local champions in the courtroom. Different arenas, same pursuit of excellence.
One full-service firm, all your legal needs, always.
BPS Lawyers, your lawyers for life. Visit bpslawyers.com.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, let me find this clip real quick. This is me from yesterday. I want to play this, and then I will explain it to you on the other side of the top of the hour, okay? Watch. This was yesterday's show, if you missed it, talking about the so-called protest that was supposed to happen in Hartford, where they had threatened to run out in the street and block traffic. And they were coming there with their guns. They were all armed. And WFSB dedicated a live shot to this event. They don't send reporters out to these stories anymore. They go out there for B-roll. Now, unless there's going to be like an act of aggression. And you know exactly how they got sort of hoodwinked into that nonsense a couple of weeks ago. Right in the downtown area, the reporter from WFSB almost seemed disappointed, led astray by the folks to show up there, and they were like, what? We're not blocking traffic? Come on. You know, we need to be out there. Nobody's blocking traffic? What are we coming here for? And that's, I mean, I don't blame them. If I'm a reporter, I want the meat. Oh, Black Lives Matter 860's coming down here, NAACP. Oh, the press release said there's going to be blocking of traffic. They're going to be agitating commuters and regular citizens. Oh, yeah, come on. Bill, get the camera. No, get the good one. Dragging their behinds down there, waiting patiently, talking to their colleagues. What, do you want to send another reporter? Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'd love it. Double the coverage. We're going to interview so many people. And you get down there, it's like 6 people. They're standing around, holding a half-broken sign. It's nothing. And, of course, the reporter asked, was like, so you gonna give me a money shot here? We going to see some blocking of traffic? Nah. We're going home. I was like, I got to report live. They dedicated a live shot for this. That's what they did. Ask them, you saw it. They dedicated a live shot for this. And to get nothing. And you heard the reporter's, like, absolutely disappointed voice. Yeah, we came down here and, they said they were going to block traffic, but, we didn't get any of that. Sorry. Sorry, Susan. Back to you. It's just one of those things, and that's what you're going to get here from Al Sharpton. They're not going to care. They was like, we've been down this road before. Nobody cares. No, Bill, grab the camera. No, not the good one. Just to refresh your memory, here he is. This is Dylan on WFSB.
And in the end, Kara, these activists, these protesters never made it into the street, never blocked traffic at all. They did tell us a couple of them were legally armed for their own defense, but nothing ever escalated. Nothing really ended up happening, Kara, okay? The protesters showed up. They spoke to us. We thought they'd get into the street, thought they'd maybe go into City Hall. It never ended up happening, and about a few minutes ago, Kara, they left. They say they will plan other protests in the future because they are furious with the death of Stephen Jones. But, Kara, they just left a few minutes ago, and I will send it back to you in the studio.
The poor guy. The poor guy. Now, again, I didn't know how many people were there. Wasn't live. I wasn't there. I know nothing about who was there. But I listened. I just listened to his voice. I saw a couple of other pictures. I made a wild guess. I took a wild guess on his scene. Just taking, literally, Dylan's own reporting gave me an impression of what he was reporting back. And being in this news business, there are certain tells. I've been here too long. I've been in this business too long. I've watched these guys do it for too long. You sort of get a sixth sense of it. And Dylan and I were at this event at the church, and we talked for a long time. Wouldn't you know it, everything I said in that audio was 100% right. Everything I said. Everything. And I'll break it down to you at the top of the hour. So the Red Sox better win today. Also, speaking of the Red Sox, an update. So yesterday, you know that I reported on a story that came out of the Carl Carlton show or whatever it was, who said that the Yankees were partnering with a tampon company and they were putting tampons in the men's locker room. Well, we found out that the tampon company has responded and they say, no, it is not going to happen. The rumors are not true. They are not going to put tampons in the men's locker room or the men's bathroom inside Yankee Stadium. However, that is not the case in Baltimore should that legislation pass, because if they pass that legislation, they will. At least the Orioles and at least the Ravens. Both of them will have tampons in the men's bathroom if the legislation passes. I couldn't get it in the Bronx, but Baltimore may be even more fitting. Because I don't know if you know, but I know Baltimore is a hellhole. And if that legislation passes, they have to put them in public stalls. So, Roland, I don't know if you heard when you walked out. So Yankee Stadium, the tampon company came out and said that they are not going to put these tampons in the men's bathroom. However, the legislation in Baltimore is still under consideration.
Fuck. I mean, had to do it on myself. I thought we was talking offline.
No. He almost got it. He's like, yeah, but it's not going to happen for the Yankees, but it will happen with Baltimore. Let's get to the top of the hour news.
This is WTIC News Talk 1080 with Brian and Company in the morning, Reese on the radio in the afternoon, and news around the clock. WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford and Odyssey Station.
It's 3 o'clock, Hartford temperature 67 degrees. Good afternoon, I'm John Silva. WTIC 1080 News. We've got a mix of clouds and sun out there for this Thursday. We're making a run at 70. All the forecast details coming up. A man killed by Hartford police last month as he held a knife on a city street is being laid to rest today. Stephen Jones was shot on Blue Hills Avenue back on February 27th, died 4 days later. His family says Jones was in the midst of a mental health crisis at the time. Reverend Al Sharpton delivering the eulogy for Jones at First Cathedral. He said beforehand the situation was in hand when the officer who fired the fatal shots arrived on scene afterward.
How does he explain his behavior over the other policemen that were already there? Because he will have to defend what made him shoot, and the police that had been there minutes before didn't see a threat.
Jones was shot after he refused repeated commands to drop the knife. The Hartford Police Union says the shooting was justified. The State Office of Inspector General is now leading that investigation. Hours after urging Iran to get serious soon, President Trump says Tehran is begging to make a deal to end the war. At a cabinet meeting today, he said Iran has allowed some oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz as what he calls a present.
We said to show you the fact that we're real and solid and we're there. We're going to let you have 8 boats of oil, 8 boats, 8 big boats of oil. This was 2 days ago. And they'll sail up tomorrow.
Israel says its military has taken out a top Iranian official.
They say they took out the commander of the IRGC Navy. In fact, according to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, this is the man responsible for blocking the Strait of Hormuz near where I am here in the Gulf.
Correspondent Chris Livesay reporting. State Senate has cleared a new union contract which will give raises to about 3,600 maintenance workers. Those workers help out at state parks, hospitals, on the roads, and universities. They'll get 2.5% annual raises and step increases for the first 3 years, among other perks. Senate Republican leader Steve Harding voted for the measure because he supports the work of the employees, but has some other reservations as well.
If we continue to budget ourselves into consistent increases, we have to pay for it somewhere, and oftentimes it comes in the form of tax increases or hidden fees like public benefit charges.
Democratic State Senate President Martin Looney backs the raises.
These are really hard-working people who are working in maintenance, who are working in other stressful situations in heat and in cold, tough physical situations that are demanding on them.
Those raises passed on a mostly bipartisan basis, with 2 Republicans voting against, 4 Democrats, 4 Democratic senators absent. Windsor police have released the name of a person killed in a multi-vehicle crash in town on Wednesday. The person is identified as 83-year-old Tan Din of Windsor. 7 other victims involved in that crash were taken to area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. It was just around 2:30 that the crash took place Wednesday at Windsor Ave and Route 218. Court appearance in New York for former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, each facing drug trafficking charges. They want their cases thrown out in a dispute over legal fees. CBS's Anna Schechter.
They need to show and prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that he was actually giving direction to the cartels and not just a corrupt leader who maybe quietly allowed this type of activity to go on.
WTIC News Time 3:04, checking traffic. Some delays reported on 84 westbound side in East Hartford. The congestion begins at exit 56 and will carry you all the way out to 45. Got some slower traffic into the city out of Windsor on 91 South between 35A and 32. Crash down in Lower Fairfield County. This is Darien on the southbound side of the turnpike. We've got congestion between 15 and 11. Looks like the right lane is blocked there. 2-vehicle crash on the southbound side of 95 in Darien. Here's the WTIC Weather Center forecast.
The rest of today stays warm for us as we come down from a high near 70 degrees. We do have a couple of clouds, but the showers are starting to work in, and it stays breezy tonight with rain and drizzle. Our low, 49. Tomorrow, there's a lingering shower early in the morning. After that, it's a windy and cooler day with a mix of sun and clouds. Our high, just 53. Tomorrow night, it's a few clouds for us, but it's cold. A low of 27. And Saturday, we'll start off our weekend chilly. We'll get a mix of sun and clouds, and it gets breezy for the afternoon. A high near 40. Heading through Sunday, partly sunny, breezy in the afternoon, but a little bit warmer, a high near 51. And Monday will be warm with some sun, then turning cloudy and breezy for the afternoon, a high of 64. As we go into the middle of the week, we'll keep temperatures in the upper 50s to mid-60s, so staying somewhat mild. This is meteorologist Melissa Constanzer in the WTIC Weather Center.
67 degrees right now in Hartford. Stay tuned for Red Sox baseball coming up on TIC. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech.
Sponsored by Wesley Financial.
Apple fans will have to wait a little longer for the company's new smart home display, which was initially scheduled for its debut this spring, but has been postponed until Apple's finished upgrading its Siri voice assistant in a partnership with Google. Bloomberg says the smart home display will likely launch in September with the iPhone 18 lineup. The smart home display is about the size of an iPad and can be attached to a wall or to a speaker base. I'm Jason Brooks.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-384-9393. That's 800-384-9393.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we are back and we are live, and in about 2.5 minutes, as it were, the Red Sox are going to be broadcasting on the regular network on your radios all across the state of Connecticut. But you can catch our show by going to WTIC.com or ReeseOnTheRadio.com. If you have the Odyssey app, you can listen while you're in your car so you never miss a beat of the show. So if you are just joining us, I'm weirded out by the way in which people tell me, they conveniently tell me when they start listening to the show. I always keep that in mind, by the way, for those of you saying, it's like, yeah, 2:30, I get in the car and I start listening to you. I always think about that. I'm like, okay, Rick's listening now. I do. I really do. I'm very in tune with you guys as my listeners. So trust me when I tell you, I respect you and I love you. What I was thinking about was, when I do this thing or watch media happen, I'm always in the head of what the person doing the job is doing. And I'm going, I could just notice this, that, or the third. And it seems like he's saying this and that. And so I met today two reporters today, Dylan Fearon and Susan Raff. And I'll talk about the Susan Raff thing in a second, because that story is actually interesting, because it had something to do with a thing I brought up a little while ago, about 20 years ago, when I was in 2004, 22 years ago, now that I think about it, that I want to make mention of. I'll get to that in a second. But Dylan Fearon was at an event with Black Lives Matter, and they were showing up because they were going to be disruptors on the behalf of Stevie Jones.
And in the end, Kara, these activists, these protesters never made it into the street, never blocked traffic at all. They did tell us a couple of them were legally armed for their own defense, but nothing ever escalated. Nothing really ended up happening, Kara, okay? The protesters showed up. They spoke to us. We thought they'd get into the street, thought they'd maybe go into City Hall. It never ended up happening. And about a few minutes ago, Kara, they left. They say they will plan other protests in the future because they're furious with the death of Stephen Jones. But
I looked at Dylan, and I'm watching that on television. The first thing that runs through my mind is, he must have been so disappointed. Now, just going to let you know, folks, right now, we're about to go over to WTIC.com, so make sure you switch. You don't want to miss the rest of the story. Go there now. Hurry up. So I'm watching Dylan do that. I'm watching Dylan go through all that, and I said, man, he must have been so disappointed.
The Red Sox on WTIC News Talk 1080.
This is the Mass Mutual pregame show. Mass Mutual. Talk to Mass Mutual today. Feel comfortable about tomorrow. Now, here's Christian Arcan.
A very good afternoon, Red Sox fans, and welcome in to the Mass Mutual pregame show. Talk to Mass Mutual today. Feel comfortable about tomorrow. Opening day is here after a long and snowy winter. Spring is here. So is baseball season, a season full of optimism for Red Sox fans and for the team alike here. After the Red Sox made their first return to the postseason in 2025, their first since their ALCS appearance in...
To my thing. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So anyway, I get there to the memorial, and I see Dylan. First thing I see him, and I was just like, hey, don't I know you? And he's like, I don't know, Dylan Fearon. was like, Reese on the radio. He goes, oh, yeah, man, we talked before. And I said, hey, man, that's right, we did. And what we had talked about, Dylan and I didn't realize, it'd been a while, Dylan and I were talking about and exchanging notes on the shooting inside the church during the funeral. And I'd given him a tip on that story. And he mentioned it to me. He's like, yeah, Reese. He's like, damn, man, I meant to get back to you. That tip you gave me, that cleared. That tip was good. He said it turned out there was another arrest in that case. And I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah. I was like, trust me, man. You probably want to reach out to me a little more. He goes, I am, man. He texted me his number and whatnot. And we start jarring, and I go, hey, man, I got to ask you about what happened that day with the Black Lives Matter thing down at the protest. And he goes, oh, yeah, man. So I'm like, come on. I said, I was talking about you yesterday on the show. He was like, yeah? I was like, oh, yeah. I said, I did a whole bit on you. He was like, really? Yeah. I was like, absolutely. So I'm going to forward this to him today. So here was the bit. I could only surmise from what I watched on WFSB, like everybody else was, what happened. And this was my explanation, or at least my take on what I saw. They don't send reporters out to these stories anymore. They go out there for B-roll. Now, unless there's going to be like an act of aggression. And you know exactly how they got sort of hoodwinked into that nonsense a couple of weeks ago. Right in the downtown area, the reporter from WFSB almost seemed disappointed, led astray by the folks to show up there, and they were like, what? We're not blocking traffic? Come on. We need to be out there blocking. Nobody's blocking traffic? What are we coming here for? And I don't blame them. If I'm a reporter, I want the meat. Oh, Black Lives Matter 860's coming down here, NAACP. Oh, the press release said there's going to be blocking of traffic? They're going to be agitating commuters and regular citizens? Oh, yeah, come on. Bill, get the camera. No, get the good one. Dragging their behinds down there, waiting patiently, talking to their colleagues. What, do you want to send another reporter? Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'd love it. Double the coverage. We're going to interview so many people. And you get down there, it's like 6 people. Now, like I said, I knew nothing of that. I'm just looking at the video like anybody else. Well, then I speak to Dylan. And I said, hey, could you give me some insight on what took place there? Like, you guys going down there, meeting up with these people. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, I spoke to them over the phone the day before. And they told us, yeah, we're going to go out. We're going to disrupt traffic. We're going to show up. We've got, legal permits to carry. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to let the people know that we're outraged by this. And we're like, yeah. Just like, I said, you dedicated a live shot. He goes, yeah. He goes, I couldn't believe it. He said, and I asked the guy before I did, I said, listen, I got another story that I can cover. Is this really going to go down? All right? Because I got another story that I can cover. But if you're telling me this is going to happen, we'll be there. The guy goes, yeah, it's going to happen. We're coming down there. Now, again, I'm saying to myself, they dedicated a live shot. I did. I even said it yesterday. They're standing around holding a half-broken sign. It's nothing. And, of course, the reporter asked, was like, so you going to give me a money shot here? We go to see some blocking of traffic? Turns out that's exactly what Dylan asked them. I was like, so what are we doing here? What are we going to do? And then I said this yesterday. Nah, we're going home. Exactly what they told him. Everything I said last night, Dylan confirmed. He goes, no, they just looked at me and they just looked around, saw 6 people. 6 people! Dylan confirmed 6 people. I was guessing. I was like, I got to report live. They dedicated a live shot for this. That's what they did. Ask them, you saw it? They dedicated a live shot for this. And to get nothing. And you heard the reporter's, like, absolutely disappointed voice. Yeah, we came down here. They said they were going to block traffic, but, we didn't get any of that. Sorry. Sorry, Susan. Back to you. To have everything that I said confirmed in front of me. I don't even know the guy. I don't even know the guy. And I was like, so Dylan wants me to send this to him. He's dying for me to send this to him. And he will be. He did say that he is going to contact his bosses to see if he can come and be a guest on the show. We'd love to have him. Because while he's telling me this story, I'm sitting there laughing my behind off going, how the hell? I'm like, everything I said, everything was absolutely as it happened. It was beautiful. Now over to Susan Braff. So, again, I leave the event. Al Sharpton's running late with a police escort, which, again, I don't even understand. And then he gives this weak-ass answer.
This case represents how you treat us differently when you come, and this case warrants us to ask policemen how...
I'm sorry, did he say what I thought he said? Please don't tell me that man who was on television said the word X.
This case warrants us to ask police...
Yes, he did. This Negro said X.
us differently when you come, and this case warrants us to ask policemen how they can come to a scene and override the decisions of the policemen already on the scene. He just got there. He felt under threat, if that's going to be his defense, but they weren't threatened. None of them shot. None of them took out their guns.
Which means that they are independent in thought. Like, I get that he was running late and he probably did not have a prepared statement, but this is absolutely why they are so bad. And this is the reason why there must be reporters who have the guts to push back on this. That's why I'm so disappointed in the day that I couldn't be there and just go, wait a minute, Al. In one breath, you're saying how they treat us, and then clearly we have differing opinions on how they were treating Stevie. You had plenty of officers who held onto their guns, didn't pull out, and you had one who did. So this is obviously not a they treat us scenario. Clearly. What are you talking about? Somebody's got to have the guts to ask that. You're standing right there in front of them. He held you up. What, were you going to not hold him up any longer because he had a funeral to get to? He held you up. What's the purpose of having a press conference if you're not going to press him? Yes, I know it's two different meanings, but you get my point. It was absolutely ridiculous. And he said the word X. 2026. X. Where are we? I mean, listen. Jesse Jackson would never say X. Never. That poor man. Anyway. I can't with this people. Hey, speaking of which, since we're on the online, Roland, what is our clock now? As he walks away. He didn't even see me. I guess he could just chill out now because I got plenty of time. And also, Mayor Arunin was there. He and I had a conversation. So I'm going to reach out to his folks one more time and see if we can get him on the program. See if we can sit him right across from me, right on camera too, so we can talk about a bunch of things as well. Oh, that's a great question, Lori. I do not know if he's paid his back taxes yet. But like I said, we're going to keep a close eye on if this stuff has resonated on a national level. I doubt that it will, but we'll see. Now, Susan Raff. So I believe the Al Sharpton thing that he wasn't present at. And I go across town, and Secretary of State is there to give a press conference on the SAVE Act. And where's my paperwork here? So they had a whole bunch of booklets here. From the Secretary of State, Stephanie Thomas, the media fact sheet. How the Save America Act would impact Connecticut. That's what she wrote here. And she writes, this summary reflects provisions in the Save America Act and amendments currently under debate in the U.S. Senate. Now, why are they holding this press conference? I could not tell you, other than to spin it because they have some concern about voting laws in the state of Connecticut because something is worth being concerned about. The memo writes, changes the types of identification used to register to vote from commonly used forms of ID in Connecticut, such as real ID driver's license, to documentary proof of U.S. citizenship. That is a lie. Because a real ID driver's license is documentary proof of U.S. citizenship. You can't get the real ID without it. Requires voters to present documents in person to register to vote or any change to registration, including name and address changes and updating party affiliation. I don't know what's wrong with that, but requiring voters to present documents in person to register to vote is to ensure that it is a legal resident doing so. Eliminates the ability to fully complete registration or updates online or by mail because you can do that fraudulently. Requires voters without acceptable photo ID at the polls to cast a provisional ballot and return with ID within a set time frame for their vote to be counted. Requires election officials to evaluate citizenship documents, resolve discrepancies across records, and determine whether documentation meets federal standards. I'm not saying how this is a problem yet. Requires absentee voters to submit a sworn statement and documentary proof in support of the reason they are voting absentee, and places election officials in the position of judging the validity of the reason. Yes, scrutiny is not a bad thing. Limits the return of absentee ballots to in-person delivery or return by certified mail paid for by the municipality or state. Introduces new legal exposure to election officials by allowing private civil actions related to voter registration compliance with potential legal and financial consequences. That means if the state is actively not abiding by the law, they should be held accountable. Does not include federal funding, leaving municipalities responsible for implementation costs. Would take effect in advance of the November 2026 election based on the bill's current language. Now, there's something that everybody needs to know, and that is that there's this argument that the left is making about birth certificates and passports. And they have a huge problem with birth certificates and passports. They keep making the claim that if you pass this law, people will not be able to vote. Some 21 million people, according to a report in NYU in 2023. I'll give you those details. But this is Democrats obviously going over and over and over about birth certificates and passports.
You know where your birth certificate is? I have no clue where mine is. Do you know where your birth certificate is?
You know where your birth certificate is? I have no clue where mine is. Do you know where your birth certificate is? Could you find your birth certificate? I don't know where my birth certificate is. Do you have the passport or your birth certificate? Passport or a birth certificate? Passport. Birth certificate or a passport? Birth certificate. Birth certificate. Birth certificate. Birth certificate. Birth certificate. Birth certificate. Passport. A lot of Americans don't even have a birth certificate. Birth certificate. Their birth certificate. Birth certificate or a passport. Birth certificate. Their birth certificate or a passport. Birth certificate. Birth certificate. Their birth certificate. Their passport.
I told you we were going to make it into a club song. Never give me an idea. When we come back, I am going to explain to you about this whole nonsense with the birth certificate and why it's a lie. Not only the fact that it's a lie, the study that they did in 2023, they seem to omit a very important factor in that study about people who would not be able to come up with a birth certificate or a passport. Roland, are you in there? I don't see anybody there. They've just left me. Everybody's abandoned me. They've gone to do their own thing. And I need to know if he actually, well, it's okay. We'll just wait for that. If you want to call in, you can. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. The Red Sox are playing on a regular network. And what was I going to say? Oh, they're playing on a regular station, and everybody else is over here online. Let me see what Crystal said. Is everything okay? Oh, he said go to the top. Okay, no problem. Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. All right, so, yeah, the clocks are different when we go online, so it is really difficult to tell exactly, because usually right about now is when we go to a break, when we're 27 minutes after, but when we're online, it goes all the way. They're watching the game, Ned said. Exactly. It's... They probably are. They probably are watching the game, knowing these guys. All right, so like I said, if you want to call up 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. I also want to thank Jerry and Rick for showing up last night at Bridge Community Church. Roseanne and I had a great time with them, hanging out, just talking about a whole bunch of stuff, and it was a blast. And actually, we'll have Jerry on the program soon. He's so badly wants to come on the show, and we'll have him soon. Also, remember the young man I was telling you about, TJ? He's a young podcaster who wants to come on to talk about Hartford schools and the budget cut that are happening in school. Well, this young kid is only 16 years old, and he and I spoke a day before yesterday. Yeah, the day before yesterday we spoke. He and his mom are coming into the studio, and they'll be here on Tuesday. And I am absolutely excited to have him here. Young guy who's just a year shy of when I was interested in broadcasting, and to see a young man doing a podcast and loving radio and excited to be here. And I'm hoping this kid is a lot like I was when I was 15, energized, energetic, and I would hope, from the bottom of my heart, I hope he is enthusiastic about the future. We could very well be meeting the new generation of broadcasters in CJ. So he's going to come. Oh, TJ, I'm sorry. He'll be here shortly on Tuesday. Yeah, he'll be here Tuesday. So a couple of days, and we'll promote him hardcore. He says, let's not forget what made Al Sharpton famous. Al Sharpton gained fame with his involvement in the Tawana Brawley case. You know, Lori, I should tell you that story, because I met the so-called boyfriend of Tawana Brawley, the person she had run away from home to visit, and how that whole thing played out. I had a very long conversation with Tawana Brawley's boyfriend at the time of that event, and the story is so compelling. From his point, yeah, it's a good story. It's a really, really good story. And I don't think I've ever a story that I almost felt like it was personally a part of my life, as many of us. Being from New York, I felt like that story was like I was living it as it happened. And then to meet the boyfriend who quietly was never a part of the story, yet he was the key factor in it all. Is the amazing part. So we got to go to bottom of the hour. We'll be back. Stand by. More news, more views when we return. It's Reese on the radio.
this case represents how you treat us.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. For those of you who are listening online, especially if you're listening on Facebook, X, or whatever, you're not going to hear any of the commercials, so you will only hear me. So I will not go to, I will not break the screen so that you can see me here. You can see the studio is up. But when we are online, it is difficult. When I was in Texas, you could hear all of that online stuff because it was on a feed. But now that I'm here live in the studio, you're not going to hear it. So that's why that is the way that it is. Okay? But stand by. So, don't worry. We'll figure it out. We'll all go. We'll go together. This brave new world of Red Sox baseball. This is my first season in the studio during the game. So it's a little new for me. So I'm kind of sort of figuring it out. Anyway, that being said, so I get to the Stephanie Thomas press conference. The governor's supposed to show up, Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor's supposed to be there, and they're pushing back on this on the SAVE Act. And the importance of this conversation to them is to get you to believe that the SAVE Act is a bad idea. Now, I don't know if they're desperate, but it sure does appear to be desperate. So I want to go back to a claim that Chuck Schumer made and a lot of these other folks have been making, and that is it would be impossible for 20 million people to produce the document that is required for them to vote, meaning a birth certificate or passport. But here's what they are not telling you. According to Chuck Schumer, this so-called estimated 21 million is from a survey by the Brennan Center for Justice, which is a left-leaning think tank at NYU and their partner groups. And they did a report from September 12th to October 4th of 2023. And the results were released in 2024. And they asked a representative sample of 2,386 U.S. citizens age 18 plus whether they had ready access to documents proving citizenship, specifically a U.S. passport or birth certificate, or naturalization or citizenship papers. Now, that is a great question. But if they hadn't thrown in this little piece, it would have been great for them to cite. But this small little piece is why everything they've said about the 20 million people is a lie. I'll read it again. The survey, fielded from September 12th to October 4th of 2023, with results released in 2024, asked a representative sample of 2,386 U.S. citizens aged 18 plus whether they had ready access to documents proving citizenship, specifically a U.S. passport, birth certificate, or naturalization citizenship papers if they had to show it tomorrow. That's the framing of the question. If you had to show these documents by tomorrow, could you do it? And according to the survey, 9.1%, which based on that aggregate would come up to about 21 million people of voting age citizens, said they do not have such documents readily available. That is where the readily available thing comes in. But the question specifically asked, you had a day. You had a day, which was why I wanted to be at that press conference. That's why I wanted to be there. Was to ask the question, you guys are citing flawed data. And again, no one's asking a real simple question. There's 5 months. And the longest wait time to get a birth certificate is 6 weeks. Roland told us. Took him 6 weeks. In the state of Louisiana, the state of his birth, 6 weeks was the longest he had to wait. They've got 5 months. And not one person is preaching, hey, folks, if you're voting for a Democrat, you want to get rid of this oligarch. Because, again, I'm trying to figure this out, folks. Again, there's another No Kings protest all around Connecticut coming up. Why would you waste your time doing that? Nobody at Indivisible, nobody at the Communist Society of America, whatever they're called, no one is telling their folks, hey, you know what? Forget about Ixnay on the protest day. Go get your birth certificate. We got to get rid of this guy. Do you make sure you have your birth certificate? No. They're telling people to go out and protest. Politicians to go out there screaming about the Save America Act. But nobody's telling them to go get their birth certificates just in case they kill a filibuster. And they vote for this thing and they get it through with 51 votes. It could doom us all. Go get your birth certificate now. They won't even suggest it. I wonder why. They've got to believe that it's going to happen. They have to. And I think all of the arguments, and again, we're talking, folks, why is the Secretary of State in Connecticut putting out this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-page memo, holding a press conference in front of her? None of these people are elected officials in Washington. The vote's not even happening here. What's the conversation for? I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, what type of craziness is that? Why does the Save America Act require, what does the Save America Act require to register to vote? What happens if a voter's name does not match their citizenship documents? Do we have to worry about that many people in the United States who have to worry about their citizenship? How the Save America Act would impact Connecticut. For example, a voter whose current identification reflects a married name, but whose birth certificate reflects a prior name. They may need to present both documents along with a marriage certificate or other record linking their names when registering. So, all of those things can be acquired at the Vital Records Office. I would assume they were able to get married, right? They were able to get a driver's license, right? Would the proof of citizenship requirement only apply to new voters? No. Proof of citizenship would be required for any voter's registration update. So go get updated. You got 5 months. And where are the people, by the way? Again, as I said yesterday, when Donald Trump said they were eating the dogs and eating the cats, everybody went to Springfield, Ohio. Everyone. They ran out there. When Nick Shirley was covering of Somali fraud, the reporters ran out there to disprove him. They broke their necks. They got on planes everywhere to come to these small little towns to cover news they otherwise ignored. And now all of a sudden, we have a nationwide argument. And the weird part of it is that they know what the polling says, right? They know the polling says that 71% of African Americans, 80% of independents, and 86% of everybody else says that they want voter ID. They want this law to pass. But again, remember, what does the media do when ICE agents are grabbing people off the street? They can't stop telling horror stories about illegals who got wrapped up who are American citizens. They go out there and they tell you these bleeding heart stories about the people. Meet Manuel. Manuel was just working at his construction job. And ICE agents, they arrived. They always find the most stereotypical reporter to cover it with a deep voice. Manuel was working his job where he takes care of his family, making a meager $4 an hour. It was when the ICE agents came and dragged him away, never asking him for his documents or his papers, simply grabbing him and kidnapping him because he was brown. We spoke to Manuel. And they do the whole thing, and it's supposed to be a bleeding heart campaign. Coming to you live from CNN. I'm Hector Alonso. Yeah, you know the whole drill. Jorge Ramos comes out of his crypt to talk about how horrible it is for the Mexican. Yes! They cover all of those stories. What about these poor... And again, remember, they keep telling you that there are married women who cannot get the... Where is the reporting on this? Where is the horror stories by the married woman who can't find her birth certificate? Why don't they have the cameras? I want the cameras in the house, CNN, looking at the woman with her arms up in the air, just going, I just can't find it, Anderson Cooper. I've been looking everywhere. Did you look under the armoire? I did. I looked there yesterday. It wasn't there. What about the doilies? Did you look under the doilies? No, I know. That's usually where I keep my husband's cigarettes. Just, again, no horror stories. We should see this, right? So we can all be empathetic and understanding to these horrible conditions that they live in where they cannot get their birth certificate or passport. How long does it take to get a passport? Isn't it just a couple of weeks? It's not that long. I said, kick them when they're kick them when they're down. Get them what? And kick them all around. Love it when they when they hear the dirty line. Oh, I see. I totally just got what you were writing, Ned. He's singing Dirty Laundry. I was like, oh, okay, I know those lyrics. Yeah, again, I don't understand it. No horror stories. You find it nowhere. What's up, Michael A? Welcome to the program. So, what do we got? Another 2 hours of this? Red Sox, we'll get the numbers on it. I got to tell you about Susan Raff, which I guess I have time. I could tell you now. So anyway, I get to this Stephanie Thomas thing. And as soon as I walk in, I see her there. There's two reporters on either side. One of the guys is from WTNH, and I forget his name. He's the one who always wears the bow ties. He was there. And so the first person I see is Susan Raff. So, again, no offense to the other reporters. I know who you are, but I don't really care. Susan Raff is she's the veteran there, and she got my respect. And so as soon as I saw her, I made a beeline towards her. And as I told you, when I show up at places, there's always this look. It's like, who is this guy? And I'm towering over them. Susan Raff, if at best, is at a 5'1". I'm 6'3". So I make a beeline for her right across the hall, and I go, Susan Raff, nice to meet you. She goes, and you are? I said, Reese on the radio, WTIC. She was like, oh, hey. I took over for Todd Feinberg. Oh, okay. Hi, how are you? And we start talking, and first thing she says to me is, are you the guy that Betsy McCoy walked out on? I went, I'm sorry, what? So are you the radio show that Betsy McCoy walked out on? I said, ma'am, nobody walks out on my show. I was like, what? Walked out of my show? Nobody walks out. Are you crazy? Anyway, so, and thank you, Ned, 2 weeks for a passport. I appreciate you. Which, again, is shorter than 5 months, right? So we get to talking, and I told her about, my journey in Connecticut and everything. And I tell her about the Ralph Nader story, which I shared with you. When I first got to Connecticut, I was in Manchester about a big Y, and I was telling the story about how a WFSB reporter walked up to me. They were looking for, I guess, people's response to Ralph Nader joining the 2004 election. And I looked at the camera and I said, congratulations, George W. Bush, on your second term. And Susan looked at me and goes, I think that was me. And I really do believe it was her. I really do believe it was her. Because every time I see her, I get that chill that I remember that it was her in that moment 22 years ago. But we got to talking, and turns out she does radio as well. So does Dylan, by the way. Dylan Fearon. They do radio all the time in some other networks. And, when you're having a conversation with somebody, you don't know exactly where it's going to turn, and you don't know if there's sort of like that professional rivalry, that unspoken rules, like, your radio, we're television. And what was great was we talked for a little bit. We exchanged stories. She talked about, she's a teacher, by the way. And she starts telling her story about this student and AI. That's her biggest. She was talking about how that's her biggest fear about AI, because she believes it's unregulated. And she believes it's sort of taking over the world. But anyway, she's telling this great story about one of her students. And then, people start showing up, and they're showing us all the pamphlets, and I get all the paperwork. Anyway, I realized that I'm not going to stay. And the reason why I say that, because I want to bring this up a little bit, and I'll get back to the Susan Raff thing in a second. So they break down, they give me this list that says that Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz is not going to begin speaking until 1 o'clock. This is supposed to start at 12:45. They show up to only tell us that it's not going to happen until 1. I got a show to do. There's no way I'm happy. It's 12:50. And I'm like, I got to go. Anyway, Susan Bysiewicz, she's going to speak for 3 to 5 minutes at 1 o'clock. The Connecticut Conference of Municipalities Director of Public Policy, Brian O'Connor, he's going to speak for 3 to 5 minutes. Then at 1:10, the COST, President of Regional Town Administrator for Northeastern Connecticut Council of Governments, Mary Calario, is going to speak for 5 minutes. Then Ned Lamont at 1:15 to 1:20 will speak for 5 minutes. Then the Secretary of State will speak get this, for 20 minutes. And then Q&A at 1:40. There's no way I'm getting to my show on time. So 1:40 Q&A, I'm like, forget about it. I was furious after that. And of course they do it at the worst time of the day, so I can't. There's no way I'm going to get all that stuff done or get any of my questions in. So I've got to, I guess the best way I could do this is, and Sam the Man sent me a message, and I may have to consider it, that I'm gonna need some people in the street. And it just is, God bless Dave Mager, for WI, but I think I'm going to need some Reese on the radio correspondents. I just am. Because I can't be everywhere and I need to. And I think what I should do, and this will be perfect, if I could just here's what I would want to do. I think this is going to have to be done. I just have to plan it out. So if I get somebody to show up at the events and I write out the questions that need to be asked, that would work. But we're going to have to keep our ear to the ground so we know that every one of these events going to, because it sucks when they do this at 12 noon. Roseanne roasted me about it. I said, they're holding this stuff late in the day, and I got to prepare for a show. I can't sit around and wait for these people to hold press conferences. And she goes, well, look at them, doing business during business hours. It's like, don't get chippy with me, lady. I said, you know what? Ken, you know what? That might be a good idea. Ken's got a great idea. Ken says, have Roseanne sit in for you until you get back. That would work. Sam the Man is in the chat room. He says, there will need to be a significant training involved for your correspondents. I hope to be one of them. Yes, there will have to be training for that. They're going on to schedule every press conference after 2 o'clock so you could never be there. Carmela, I wasn't going to be paranoid. But just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. That's what I'm saying. I think these people know what they're doing. Most press conferences happen in the morning. All of them, it's always at 9 a.m. You start off the day. Why? Because you make the noon news cycle. You make the 5 o'clock news cycle. You get a lot of burn out of the 9 a.m. Now, 1, 2 o'clock news cycles, that makes no sense. Matteo says they will always plan their press conferences during your show. I really do believe that. Chris says that Reese Sharpton knew he could come to Hartford and speak nonsense without apprehension. He was told he would have protection from hecklers. Our government invited him and the spectacle they wanted to create. These people are all crooks, bro. No doubt in my mind. Look, I will tell you, the mayor showing up there, and I asked him about that. It's like, hey, why are you here? And he says, I just want to come and pay respects to the family, after what happened. And, I'm like, okay, I get that. But, he, of course, I wish people would understand that I get the whole pitchforks in front of my house deal. Like, these politicians don't know. Look, there's a reason why I love Mayor Giuliani. Because Giuliani would respond. He was very Trumpian before Trump got on the scene. And guys like Al Sharpton didn't know how to deal with the response of Giuliani. Because people would be in the press and say, well, his refusal to suspend the officer shows exactly who he is. And Giuliani would respond to that by saying, yeah, we don't really care what they say. You know, we've seen the video and we've made our determination. And you know what? That's just the way that it is. Okay, we did our review and that's it. But you know what? People are going to have their opinion, but so what? And it really took the teeth out of the protests. And Giuliani had he had one key factor in all of this that they could not combat. And that was he was saving black lives. That's all. He was saving black people's lives. Stop and frisk saved their lives. Well, they're only stopping and frisking in our neighborhoods. And the obvious answer to that is, and it's real simple. Here's the obvious answer. Why am I not stopping and frisking them on Madison Avenue or Park Avenue or Battery Plaza? Why am I not stopping and frisking them near the World Trade Center or Park Avenue? Why are they not being stopped and frisked outside of Bergdorf Goodman or FAO Schwartz? Why are they not being stopped and frisked in Greenwich Village? Why? Why is that happening? Why is it not happening? The stopping and frisking is happening in Harlem because that's where they plan on shooting up. It's happening in the Bronx because that's where the shootings are happening. They're doing it in your neighborhood because your neighbor is about to get shot up by this thug. Oh, darn. I totally forgot traffic. Oh, my goodness. Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. My bad. I thought I had to go to the top of the hour. I'm out of here. Hey, Mark.
10 Grill.
Samuel the Man on the Street Montville.
All right, we are back. It's Reese on the radio. Let me put this darn thing down. So those of you who are listening online, you cannot hear the direct feed, so my microphone goes off so that it does not interrupt with the broadcast that's happening. So, but if you're on WTIC.com, you can hear all of it. But if you're watching on Facebook or on X, it's just dead silent. So sorry about that. That's just where it goes. I would normally just play some audio in the background. And I totally missed my cue. Shows you exactly how I got so used to the way that this show operates that, you know, sort of like audio cues in my head, looking at the clock. This is absolutely unknown territory for me because, like I said, when I was in Texas, I could hear everything that you would normally hear on. It would just sound like we were, you know, doing the show regularly. But now here that I'm in studio, there's no feed that gives that line to me or feeds out to you guys. So I've got to keep looking up at the clock, which I normally wouldn't do unless I knew that time was coming. And I have so many clocks in front of me. For some odd reason, I got so wrapped up in what I was talking about. I missed it. I totally missed it. I did not mean to do that to Mark Christopher. And speaking of which, Mark Christopher is back. And he is going to give you traffic. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center coming up. I know you can't hear me, Mark, but yeah, you do your thing. I'm stepping away. All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio. We are here and live in spite of the fact that the Red Sox are happening on the regular station. You can always check us out at reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. Or you can just download the Odyssey app to get the program. It's a little weird this way, but we're going to figure it out. We will have this thing figured out. It won't even be weird the next time. Red Sox, it's they're here. It's what we do every year, and we just have to muddle through. Coming up, stupidest thing I read today, another squirrel story. You guys seem to like the last squirrel story, especially the one about the squirrel story about the squirrel that was attacking people at Wesleyan. Not Wesleyan, I'm sorry, Trinity College. Why would I think Wesleyan? That just popped. Oh, Chris Murphy is getting an honorary degree there. That's why it popped into my head, and he was on the screen just a minute ago. Plus, we got music news, which sucks because then we don't have the back and forth with Mark Christopher, but whatever. I'm sure he still enjoys the segment. If you're just joining us and you're online, earlier today, I tried to go to this memorial for Stephen Jones. As I talked about, I don't quibble with the family members of someone who has died. Their grief is their own, and I don't need to get into a back and forth with them. I definitely would never disrespect them, and it's not just in a time of grieving, but at all. What they believe or the way in which they see things is understandable. And it would be pointless for me to be having a debate about, well, I don't know. No. I did, however, ask the question, which I will do. It's what I do. I asked the question, if indeed Stevie was dangerous, and they knew that, if they knew that he had some suicidal ideation, if they believed that he wanted to harm himself and was having a mental health episode, the question must be asked. And I know it's difficult to do when a family's grieving. It must be asked, well, is this something that you knew? Right? And yeah, I understand that people want to talk about the mental health here. I do. But, and this is where I get into it. And I know I'm just going to, if you have someone with mental health issues in your family, here's what I want to say to you. And I don't do the whole caveat or the preambles before I say what I'm going to say. I don't do that, and I'm not going to do it now. I will never do it. But if you take issue with what I say, take the issue up with me. You want to call my bosses because of what I have to say? Go ahead and do that. But I am willing to have this conversation with you if indeed you think I am being ignorant or naive. I don't think I am. But I've been wrong before. On this subject, I don't think so. Hear me out. It has become absolutely impossible to engage with people on this subject because they keep using it as a cudgel. What do I mean? Those who are having mental health issues are not who I'm talking about. People who have dealt with people with mental health issues. You're not the authority. And let me explain why. I know you think you are. You're not. The person with the mental health issue is the authority here. They're dealing with the mental health issue. You, because you cared for them, does not give you the right to tell the rest of us how they think. You don't know. And that has been done ad nauseum. These conversations that go with, I've dealt with them. Which means what? Which means what? You know what was on the mind of Stevie? Do they all possess the same mental incapacity? Do you see them as a monolith? And saying that is done to say, look, I'm the authority. You can't have an opinion here. I know these people. I've cared for one. I have a family member. So what? And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So what? That doesn't mean that now all of a sudden we can't have a conversation about it. We have to. We have to. Because guess what? In your infinite wisdom, Stevie's still dead. And it's funny how all of you people who know so much, his sister knew. His sister is an authority on mental health people. Why? Because just like you, she took care of one. But yet, guess what? In that infinite wisdom, Stevie's still dead. Huh? Same case with Everard what's his name? Sorry. Walker. Everard Walker. Both dead. So tell me exactly how all in this wisdom you guys were making heads or tails of this. You're not. You are no authority at all. The only thing you are allowed to do, I guess, in your crazy world, is to tell the rest of us we don't have any right to speak up. Well, we know that argument goes nowhere. And until you folks can answer some simple questions for us, and maybe understanding that each individual mental case is its individual mental case. You cannot lump them all in. And that's in the Stevie case. Is that the only thing they see is like Stevie was just like any other person having an episode. How? As soon as I asked the question, was Stevie so mentally incapacitated that he didn't understand what a gun does? Has anybody bothered to ask the question? And when you ask, why doesn't anybody answer it? Don't give me the guff about what relevance that I didn't ask you. Don't give me the whole nonsense about what relevance. The relevance is there was a gun pointed at him. Does Stevie understand what police are? Do you understand what the uniform is? Can he discern that the person who is in front of him is a police officer and has a gun? Does he know that? Can he identify them? You are the person who cares for him. Can you answer that question? It's a legitimate question. And oh, by the way, you plan on suing me, right? If I'm the mayor of the town, if I'm the governor of whatever the state, and you want to sue us, well, folks, that discovery is going to happen. Do you think you're just going to haul me off into court and you're going to say, Stevie was having a mental health episode and the police shouldn't have shot him, pay me? And I go, you know what? You're right. I've got no defense here. Here you go. $2, $3, $4 million. Why not? Am I not supposed to defend myself or defend the city or defend the taxpayers? Have you met William Tong? That guy's holding out on a crap load of cash. On a guy who is visibly murdered. He's holding out all hope. And by the way, if Stevie Jones's family gets a check and J. Allen Jones gets held up, damn. That's telling you something. But anyway. The bottom line is that the question is going to be asked. And if I'm the defense attorney, or I'm sorry, if I'm the attorney for the defendant, I'm pulling out all the stops. And I'm not trying to smear Stevie. No. I'm going after the people who are the authority on this. Right? They are the expert witnesses. And guess what you'll tell me when you're in the courtroom? If that courtroom drama gets televised, let me tell you exactly what all of you so-called experts on the subject are going to say to me. When I go, please tell me whether or not Stevie recognized what police officers do. Does Stevie know what a police officer is? Does Stevie know that a gun shoots? Does Stevie understand the dangerousness or the danger in holding a knife of that length? If you start telling me, man, those questions were harsh. Yes, I'm asking an expert. I'm asking a person who recognizes and understands who Stevie is. I'm not making any guess. I'm asking the person who would know best. And I need to understand. Because I know the rest of you understand what a police officer does and what a gun does when it's pointed at you. I would also ask the question, does Stevie understand English? How do you communicate with Stevie at home? Has there ever been a moment where Stevie has done something where you needed him to stop and he did not stop when you asked him to? Does Stevie usually just run amok in your home? It's a fair question. have there ever been moments inside your home where Stevie was doing something that was either harmful to you, to a member of the family, or himself, where you communicate with him, stop doing that, Stevie, and Stevie stopped or did not, or you had to restrain him? I would ask the question. That would be my defense. That would be the question I would ask. And all of you who are going to stand there and say, oh, Reese, but you're being too tough on him. On whom? The authority? I need to be. I would have to be. How do I not? Bring back mental institutions so they can handle it right away. Stevie's family got fed up and didn't know how to handle him. You might very well be true. I mean, you may be right, I should say. Ned, it's quite possible. It's quite possible that they didn't know how to handle. I'll be honest with you. I do not believe that his family could have ever possibly have dealt with Stevie if he had had episodes like this before. Why? Stevie got out of the house with a long knife. Who didn't see him? What prompted the call to 911? Has anybody played the 911 tape? Have we heard the 911 tape from Stevie's sister? I'm sure in that tape, in the frantic phone call, she must explain how Stevie got the knife. In that phone call, that distress call, there must have been, please come, he's going to hurt himself. If Stevie hurt someone and the cops did nothing, there would still be outrage. 100%, Manio. 100%. And again, I've got nothing against the family members who have to bury him. It is sad that it had to happen. It is. But again, I don't hear anyone asking the questions that should be asked. And why? Why? Are they cowards? What are they afraid of? Huh? Somebody will be, uncomfortable with asking the question. They're legitimate. Lord knows I keep asking. I'm even asking the experts. I love it when they start. I was like, listen, you don't understand. I understand plain old English. I understand reason and logic. And all I want to know is that in the episode, does the English language disappear? Haven't heard a word from anybody. No one has said anything. When I do ask, did he speak English? They go, yeah, of course he did. You heard A.J. Johnson here. Reverend A.J. said exactly that. Did Stevie speak English? Yes, he did. Did Stevie understand what a gun is? Yes, he did. Did Stevie understand put down the knife? Yes, he did. And everybody here knows he did. What they're trying to say, and this is, again, what they're trying to say without saying it. And this is, again, what my problem is with a lot of these so-called civil rights folks. It is really, really simple what the problem is. Okay. They really want to call people who put themselves in harm's way stupid. They really want to without saying it. They believe that they can get away with through empathy or guilt saying, you gotta understand. And that's what I tell you. You gotta understand. He's this. He's that. He's from here. He's from there. They don't teach us that. That's, it's crazy that you hear that when you talk to people in certain minority groups. Nobody ever taught them that. What do you mean no one ever? What's that even mean? Has anybody taught you that? Like, how did you learn it? How do you know that they never learned it? It was so funny because I had that debate with somebody a long, long time ago. And he was trying to make this connection between why so many young people grew up wanting to be drug dealers and gangsters. And this guy is telling me, even though he is not any of those things, he was telling me, man, you don't understand. When we grew up, forgetting the fact that I'm from these streets, you don't understand, yo, when we were growing up, you know, the mailman and the truck driver, you know, and the delivery guy, those guys weren't our heroes. Our heroes were the dudes that were pimps and hustlers driving in the fancy cars. And I went, so you weren't taught morality when you were a kid? And they were like, not like that. You know what I'm saying? When you had those pimps and the hustlers in the street, those are the people we emulated. I'm like, so you had no influence as a kid that was positive? Nah. And then you go around and say, did you watch Good Times? Yeah, of course I did. Really? You watch Good Times? Do you watch the Bill Cosby show, like the Cosby Kids and all that stuff, the Saturday morning cartoons? Yeah, I watched that. You watch He-Man and all that other stuff, and G.I. Joe, and Knowing Is Half the Battle? You watch all of that? Yeah, I watch all of that. So don't bullcrap me about how you were never taught morals. Those TV shows were on every day teaching you about good behavior, morals, life lessons. Those things were the fabric of your life, too. You chose the pimps and hustlers, you bum. Don't talk to me about no one ever taught you that. It was everywhere. In your classroom, on television, at church. Did you go to church? Yeah, I went to church. You know what I'm saying? We went to church and went to school function. Get out of here with that. Stevie knew to put the gun down. And that's the part that no one wants to admit. Stevie knew to put the gun down. Stevie spoke English. Stevie did not adhere to the instructions he was given. And I don't know what they expected anybody else to do. They can talk that nonsense all they want to, but I never listened to it. Stevie's mental health, he was probably just trying to give the knife to somebody because of his state of mind. I don't know. We'll see. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. We got Mark Christopher. He is getting you home on this Red Sox day right here on WTIC. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. All right, well, I hope you're back. We're back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I know it's weird. No, it's weird for me. Let me see. The movie Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman was mentally challenged, break their schedule and disrupts him. And they, oh yes, well, that was one of the most difficult scenes to watch, Ned, when I had first seen it. In fact, there are so many films that were really, really good that I did not see in theaters and I saw on a whim. Like when it was like I had nothing to do and I'm sitting at home on a quiet Saturday, no money, can't go anywhere, even on a Sunday. And one of the films was Rain Man. I've never gone to the theaters to go see that. It wasn't my kind of film. So I'm sitting there and I got the VHS tape and I didn't rent it. Someone had it and I, grabbed it like it was in an old apartment or something, like an apartment I was in and somebody left it behind. And I checked it out and it was like Rain Man. I had nothing to do. I was like, you know what? Dustin Hoffman is a pretty good actor. Let me go check this thing out. And I watch it and it's really riveting. So, it shows you how great the movie is. And you watch that scene where Tom Cruise is decided that, look, I can't drive all the way across country. I got to get this over with. I got to get him where he needs to go and go on about my life. And when he says, I can't fly, I won't fly, we have to drive. And he's just saying, come on, Ray, just come on, let's go. And he just has that episode in the thing. And that feeling, which is why Dustin Hoffman won the Oscar, but the feeling that I got sitting in my apartment, hearing him have that episode, I felt everything in that scene. I felt the room shift. And I could feel Tom Cruise's response was like, because everybody's looking at you and you don't know what to do. And the first thing they're going to do is look at him and like, what is he doing to him? And you feel a sense of shame and shock and fear. It's incredible. I totally get that. I didn't have to experience it. It wasn't my brother that it was happening to, but in that moment, I felt it was like it jumped out of the screen. So again, back to the Stevie portion of this. No one wants to ask those questions of the family. Why? It's obvious. They're mourning enough. But, what's going to happen is a series of things. There's going to be, again, like I said, it was me, and I'm going to push back hard. If it's me, I'm going, look, I am not, this would be a license to fleece if an attorney doesn't push back on this. That's all it is. We are giving them, it's like, all they have to do is bring up Benjamin Crump, then bring up Al Sharpton. All the cameras are here, and we're writing checks. That's what it sounds like we're doing. Just get it off the front. Look, I'm telling you, it's in the front page of nothing. Nothing. And I know I've talked to a couple of people who think, and I've talked to members of the press, they're shaking their head the usual, yeah, man, it just looks bad. Pfft, shut up. It just looks bad. Everything looks bad to these people. They're not going to say that it looks bad that the family could not handle the burden, because that's what it was. Come on. Don't act like it wasn't, and it's not a bad thing to say. They could not handle this. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, WTIC News Talk 1080. Of course, you're joining us online. I don't even think we have a score on the Red Sox game yet. If anybody is checking it out, I usually do. But I'm looking at a whole bunch of other stuff here as well. Hey, what's up, John Beckman? Nope, we're still scoreless in the second inning, I think. Yeah, we're still the end of the second inning. So we're still scoreless in Cincinnati. So that's where we are. You know what? I could do this. Why not? Let's just do it. Let's get it over with.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Stupidest thing I read today. Wildlife rescuers in London were stunned when a trail camera footage captured a gray squirrel appearing to vape by chewing on discarded nicotine pods and puffing out vapor like residue in a city park. The RSPCA issued urgent warnings about the dangers of litter after the squirrel was spotted repeatedly returning to the same spot for its unusual habit. Experts fear that the animal could possibly suffer nicotine poisoning from the tiny plastic devices tossed by careless smokers. The video quickly went viral, sparking memes and calls for better disposal of e-cigarette waste. Rescuers are now monitoring the squirrel closely and have begun educational campaigns aimed at both humans and urban wildlife affected by modern trash. No one expected the city park pest to pick up a human vice so literally. The squirrel casually is vaping like a stressed out computer. It feels mostly dystopian, a dystopian wildlife discovery. The London nicotine addict proves that even animals are picking up the worst habit of discarded pods at a time. This is actually a very weird video because it's like the squirrel was watching people doing it and then mimicked them. And it is, wow. When I was a kid, I was deathly afraid of squirrels because, I'd older folks who were cruel, and they would always say that, don't mess with the squirrels because they'll attack you. And, they at first appear to be nice and gentle. They're not like the Disney cartoons. If given a chance, they would claw your jugular. And I was very fearful of them growing up. Cats too, but I got attacked by one. And yeah, I was very. And then I moved, I'll never forget when I moved to Washington Square Park. Well, not to Washington Square Park, but to the West Village in New York, just outside of Washington Square Park. We had a woman who would be in the park. She was a homeless woman, and she would have the squirrels all around her, just crawled up, and she was feeding them like her pet. Ugh. Just, it's the nastiest thing ever. Just always drove me crazy. Tomorrow. Okay, regular show tomorrow. I've got plenty of stuff to cover tomorrow. I will let you know when I'm going to have on Susan Raff. I'm going to talk to her maybe sometime later on today, and also talk to Dylan to see if I can have him on. He's supposed to be talking to his superiors to see if it's okay for him to come on the network. Also, I just found out that there is going to be an event coming up soon with the GOP gubernatorial candidates, Aaron Stewart, Betsy McCoy, and Ryan Fazio. And that is, in fact, I just looked that up yesterday. I just got a confirmation of that event. Let me just see if I can get yes. It is called a gubernatorial town hall that's taking place with the Regional Republican Coalition and Connecticut Young Republicans. And that is happening on the date, which escapes me. I don't think do I not have a date here? Huh, that's weird. I thought this thing had a date on it. Yeah, it's supposed to be, here it is. I'm sorry. It is going to be on April 7th at 5:30, or at least the event starts at 6:15, but the doors open at 5:30 at the Flanders Fish Market on Chesterfield Road. You do have to contact them. You have to pre-register with the Flanders event at gmail.com. Again, that is Flanders event at gmail.com if you wish to attend. And again, this is brought to you by the Connecticut Republicans. This gubernatorial town hall, again, will feature State Senator Ryan Fazio, former New Britain Mayor Aaron Stewart, and, of course, former Lieutenant Governor for New York, Betsy McCoy. And they said the event parking is at the East Lyme High School. So if you wish to attend, I will be there. I will be a guest at this event. So you can damn well expect me to be there coming up. So if you want to be a part of that, then I think you want to be there. I do. I think you want to be there. You get to see our candidates. You get to see them chill out and have a town hall, answer your questions. That's going to be cool. I kind of love the idea of them having a town hall. What in the hell? Wow. Exit 68 is going to be a mess on 84. There's serious, looks like a car fire over there. All right. I just got an alert on that one. I can't hear the traffic that's going on, so I apologize. Let me see. What else did I have? Okay, I'm going over that. In the next hour, I want to talk about something that I have been noticing lately. I talked to you yesterday about Kevin Maggott, who we had on the show. We had to talk to him real quick about going to Yankee Stadium, which, by the way, folks, you can all rest assured. Yankees have informed us they're not going to put tampons in the men's bathroom. Okay? Baltimore's a different story. We're going to have to ride that one out. But the Yankees confirmed, they know better. They're not going to do it. They do have a tampon sponsor, but the tampons are going to go in the appropriate stalls, in the appropriate bathrooms for ladies. Okay, not the men's one. What was I saying? Oh, okay. So as I have these debates with people on the left, I kept asking myself, why is it that I'm the one being the reasonable one here? And what do I mean by that? I will have these conversations with people, and either because I won't agree with them or I counter them with facts or documents that sort of disprove the thing that they've been forced to believe. In doing that, I get this sort of heightened anger, this heightened behavior. They start yelling and screaming and cursing when I won't cede any ground or I push back, or that doesn't mean. And I was watching. I go on social media sometimes and I'll see some silly stuff, and sure, I get caught up in that. That's fun. But then I'll see this one thing and I'll go, God, that's interesting. Let me go look into that. It's stuff I never really look into. I don't like a lot of sociology and psychiatry. There are plenty of people out there in the world who think that is a farce, that it is fake. I won't go that far, but consider me a skeptic. Like, I don't do the Freud thing. And so I sort of stand back from that. But this particular study was interesting to me, and I started looking into it. And I start reading the traits that they break down, and I start saying to myself, yeah, I never got that before. I didn't even attach the reason behind that. And let me start by saying this before I tell you the whole bit, and we'll do it in the next hour. I have made the fatal mistake in debating with people. The mistake is I have treated them like they are intelligent people. Now, that isn't to say that a lot of them are not. But I have made the mistake with plenty of people. I have given off the impression, or I have given them the benefit of the doubt. When I am debating them, I go, that sounds stupid, but I'm sure that that's coming from a different place. I'm sure they're not intentionally being naive. And I try really hard to just, again, give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm so concerned about coming off as arrogant or dismissive. Because I would never like that for myself. I would hate it if they would just, even though they do, but I would hate that feeling. And I know it's worse when I do it. When they dismiss me, I just go, I really don't care if you don't believe me. I don't. I've gotten so over that. But when they are in disagreement, I always go, it's like, and in my head, I'm going, well, they can't really believe that, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, you know what? Try to explain to them why that doesn't make sense. And then lay it out for them. And then what happens is that as I start making the sense, like I actually start taking their words and breaking them down, all of a sudden their anger just keeps going higher and higher and higher. And I'm just going, what? What's going on? I didn't. In no way was I saying, like, I don't look at them and say, listen, you dum-dum. Or I don't go, listen, stupid mother father. Like, I am not insulting them, right? And this is why you're a complete idiot, because you can't. I'd never do that. I'll go, well, wait a minute. Is it? I understand what you're saying, but hear me out. If that's the case, then that means that this, that, and the third doesn't measure up. Can you tell me how that is? You're not listening, so you don't understand. It's a whole bunch of, and I'm like, what? I'm not, you're getting angry, but I'm genuinely confused, and I need you to explain it to me. Can you stop getting angry? And look, you already think I'm ignorant, right? You think I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Please explain to me. I'm asking you to. You don't want to learn. You're just ignorant. I'm like, no, I am genuinely asking you. I'm not following. Do you not want to teach me what it is that you evidently know? But no, they're getting angrier and they refuse. And I wasn't understanding it. For the longest, I wasn't getting it. And I tried it just recently. I was in an argument. I'm in my apartment screaming on the phone to the person, pleading with them, can you please answer my question? I genuinely don't know what you're talking about because it doesn't make sense. Have you ever had that? I was like, no matter how hard you plead with the person, I am not being obtuse. I apologize that it doesn't make sense to me. I want to reason with you, but please explain why. And then and here's what I've learned after looking up this research. They don't know what they're talking about. And they can't. They cannot explain to you why they believe what they believe. They just believe it. And having to explain why they believe it makes them angry. Because it's... I have the definition for it, so I'm going to have to read it to you. So forgive me. I'll get in a second. But it turns out that in order for people to have an illogical belief system, it must be short answers only. Like, it's a short distance to their belief system, right? This means that sans investigation. So when you talk to these people and they're going, well, it just must be what I'm saying it is because that's what I'm led to believe. And when you ask them, but wait a minute, can we dig deeper into that? They immediately reject it because then it takes a longer walk to the, you know what I mean, to the actual answer, right? You have to dissect the framework. And A should mean B to them. It's like, well, this is the truth because it is. And I'll go, well, wait a minute. I understand that you believe that that's the reason. Can we get a little deeper into this? Like, why? Can you give me a little understanding? Because that doesn't make sense to me. Well, what do you mean it doesn't make sense to you? Well, here's why it doesn't make sense to me. And then I start laying it out. And then as that starts to peel away their short-sightedness, right? As it starts to peel that onion and go into the roots of what they believe, they get agitated. Because then it's like, holy crap, you're destroying my belief system. And then I found out that the belief system, in a weird way, kind of becomes a religion. It's like, if you believe that thing, it's like someone coming in and telling you God doesn't exist. Like, this is the place where you are, right? This is where I am. This is my belief system. This is me. I identify as this thing that I believe. And so now I'm coming in, I'm dismantling it. And now you're telling me that my belief system makes me warped or disfiguring or, I don't know, unreal. I'm going to break it down to you. When I read this, it was like, oh, what a revelation. Sadly, it'll never reach the people that it's supposed to. It'll never help them. I'll break it down to you when we come back and after we do music news. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, WTIC News Talk 1080. And I'm really, really ticked off. I just had the darn thing in my hands. And now, for some other reason, the program that I was reading from is absolutely down. Anyway, let's do some music news. News! News! Congratulations to Kenny Chesney, who turns 58 years old today. Steven Tyler, frontman for Aerosmith, turns 78 years old. Wow. And, of course, that woman, you know her, you love her, Diana Ross, turns 82 today. Hard to believe, Diana Ross, just 4 years older than Steven Tyler. Weird. They celebrate birthdays today. Popular album and chart anniversaries. 50 years ago, Wings and Wings at the Speed of Sound, released in 1976. The band's fifth studio LP, fourth straight Billboard 200, number one with Silly Love Songs and Let 'Em In. Also, 50 years ago, Thin Lizzy, Jailbreak, still love that band. They were out in 1976 with their breakthrough Boys Are Back in Town. 41 years ago, another band that I love, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Southern Accents, released in 1985. The Rootsy sixth studio album that reached number 7, featuring the MTV staple Don't Come Around Here No More with the Alice in Wonderland video. And Southern Accents, no, that's not the album. Anyway, 24 years ago, Celine Dion, A New Day Has Come was released. That was in 2002. Hard to believe that. And 14 years ago, Madonna's MDNA was released in 2012. And last but not least, other notable charts and milestone moments. 49 years ago, my boys, Hall & Oates, Rich Girl, was number 1 on the Billboard chart, Billboard 100. Guns N' Roses signed to Geffen Records in 1986, the deal that launched their careers. And 31 years ago, rapper Eazy-E died at the age of 31 from complications due to AIDS. Yeah, 31 years ago, died at 31. Eazy-E. Damn, can't believe it's 31 years ago. Wow. Mark Christopher, he is at the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. We'll be back in a sec. All right, we are back. Reese on the radio here. Let me do this thing real quick. There we go. And we are back. Just under an hour before we get out of here, hopefully we will figure out the kinks and all the weird stuff shortly. I'm actually just sitting back here going over some raw numbers, as they do. Just important things to look at here. Actually, this is really, really good stuff. I'm actually loving every bit of this. Look at that, man. That is fantastic stuff. All right. I'll talk to you guys about it one day. One day we'll have that conversation. But I just want to thank every one of you. Everything I'm looking at right now has everything to do with you. So that's great. Let me see if I can get this thing up, because my research was, as weird as it may be, I know I looked this up today, and now it looks like it's not in this thing. No, that was what I was looking up the other day. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's here. So here's what it is. So the breakdown that I was making, that I was alluding to earlier, if you're just joining us, was I'm watching TikTok videos, and sometimes these things will talk about either philosophy, Stoicism is another one that I love. Stoicism is some of the other stuff that will pop up on my algorithm, and I find a lot of this stuff interesting. But this one was really weird. So it had some weird music behind it, and I was trying to pay attention to it. It was like, But as I started listening anyway. So I was like, what is this talking about? So I went and go look it up. And you ever try really, really hard not to like, do you ever try really hard not to insult people, but you know that what you're about to say will? And you know that if you say the thing, you're going to feel a little bad about it because you're not that person. That's not the person that you are. You're not cruel. And I'm not. I'm a mean guy. I'm a bad guy. I'm a hater. So I can hate easily. But it's never something that I do like on my own. Like I don't look at you and hate you. As John Rambo would say, you drew first blood. You got to draw first blood. And I will hate on you till the end. I am always on my best behavior. Disrespect me, you're finished. Especially if I'm being a kind guy. And I'm naturally a kind guy. Just don't cross me. So I never want to initiate ill will towards someone. So I start reading this, and it turns out that people with low IQ, dare I say, according to the study, stupid people, have a hard time with accepting new information. While people with higher IQs have a dopamine release when they learn new information, like when they have their ideas challenged and learn things, like anything that they once believed, and then they learn something new, their interest and their dopamine levels peak. And they go, oh, really? And they almost want to engage. They dive in. Tell me more. They're not embarrassed by having it wrong. Learning something new or having their whatever idea that they have, to have their point of view challenged, to learn something new excites them and sparks investigation once they learn it. It was the way I was with the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. thing. When Chad O. Jackson released that video, my first reaction was, I don't know if I want to watch this. If I watch it, I'm like, this is really going to destroy everything I ever knew about him growing up. I considered him one of my heroes, and I start watching it, I start looking, and I'm going, literally can you imagine every rug just being pulled from under you? Boom, boom, boom. Every myth, coming to light. I'm like, oh, this is bad. I've been to that museum twice, 3 times, in fact. I've been to that museum. I've contributed money to that story. I've actually, to going on vacation, I invested in it and then had that thing pulled right from under me. I'm like, damn. And I'm on the other side of it. I'm just going, I'm enlightened for it. And it destroyed everything I believed about it. And sure enough, I had plenty of people just going, I can't believe you turned on Martin Luther King Jr. And I went, look, man, the evidence supports this, man. I had no choice. But with people with low IQs, the opposite happens. And it's not even so much as retreat. They get angry. They get angry. They get exercised. Because whatever their belief system is, it's an identifier. Like, that's who they are. The facts be damned. It will destroy them. It will, which is why they would. So when you see these people, I've watched so many videos of these folks and the contradiction, right, that happens right there in front of them, even when they're completely busted, you know, and they just completely dead to rights, they'll have them, and they just go, and they don't care. I don't care if I look stupid. I don't care. This is just what I believe. I don't care. I don't care that it doesn't make sense. I don't care. And they don't. They brazenly. It's an amazing thing to watch. But that's where they are. Hey, look at Susan Raff holding up her driver's license. She shouldn't do that in the future. But yeah, they are absolutely addicted to their point of view because it is an identifier for them. And pushing back on it could get them angrier and angrier. And I was having a discussion again, like I said, with a friend of mine over the phone. And I could hear it in their voice as the conversation is pleasant and then the voice gets raised. Then the cursing starts. You know, then it's, I don't want to hear it. And, you know, and my conversation with them was going, and in that, just going, okay, I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Explain that to me. And the first reaction is, don't be ignorant. I'm like, okay, I am ignorant here. I don't like, you know what it is. I'm like, no, I don't. Stop playing games. You're just playing around. I'm like, no. And it's a defense mechanism. And let me tell you, if somebody does that to you, when they start saying, yo, you're just being coy, or you're just being naive, or you're just playing with me. It's like, no, that is the defense of not having to explain why they believe what they believe, because they don't know why. They don't. So the excuse is put it on you. Say it's your fault that they can't explain it, because you refuse, like you were never interested in listening to them anyway. So when they're put on the spot, they will turn around and say, yeah, you're just being naive. You're just being a stick in the mud, or whatever the case may be. Kind of like trying to reason with our good friend. Yes. But that is, again, from the low IQ. That's the low IQ. And if you start talking about, that's what I always say. When you start talking about IQ in this defense, immediately people, they think you're being arrogant. They think you're being disrespectful. Right? I was like, oh, you think you're better than us. No, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't. Well, that's not true. For being honest. But it's a result of, one, having a low IQ, two, not being interested in learning something new. And the other part is their identity. They identified to these things. And can you imagine someone who recognizes the thing as their identity and what they are willing to do to protect said identity. Like if you are the thing that you are protecting, right? Not you. If you are the thing that you are protecting, how far will you go to protect that ideology? Because in essence, it is you. So think about the cause. Like when you look at folks in the LGBTQ community, right? They are absolutely tethered to that viewpoint. And if it's the trans community, right? You can say all day, look, that's just not the case. You know, you cannot be a woman. Say that to a man. You cannot be a woman. Science does not support what you're trying to do here. And they will just say no. And they are willing to the ends of the earth to make that point, if you will. And when you watch that, if you really want to watch that brain sort of flip out, imagine the conversation as it goes like this. Imagine having a conversation with these people and saying, how many genders are they? And they go, well, there's infinite number. And then say, why is the guy trying to be a girl? Why isn't he trying to be a glip-glop or whatever gender there is? Why are they trying to be a woman? If transgender women are women and there are infinite, well, hell, let's just say there's 72 different genders. Why does the transgender only choose women? They don't choose to be anything else. Anything else. And there was again, you will get the craziest response to that. You will get anger. You will get, oh, you're just trying to goad me. It's just like, I wish there was, everybody says like, what we need to do is be able to talk to one another. Yeah. Sure we do. It is never going to be about talking. Especially when someone says that they are who they are or their thing, their plight that they're going for is their identity, and you cannot talk them down or even have a conversation with them. There isn't any conversation. It is comply or else. That's it. Because in order to be irrational, you have to comply. And it is truly the maniacs controlling the asylum. That's what it is. And they wish to. And your reason be damned. Because they want, remember, reason is the thing that, the sort of antithesis to who they are anyway. Right? Logic, reason, understanding, any of those things, those are out the window. They are truly the tyrants. You know, and truth be told, if you lack the ability to reason, low IQ, you lack the ability to reason, how do you communicate? You communicate through violence. That's how that works. If having a regular conversation where your beliefs are challenged literally moves you into a place where you scream and holler and curse and fight and hang up the phone or walk away or become violent, that's because reason. How could you possibly be an intelligent person can use their words? They can always dig back into their reason and just go, here's the logic of what I'm trying to say. The frustration is animalistic. The anger, the screaming, the hollering, and the lack of control of their emotions. That visceral anger, screaming and hollering, all of that is, simply put, somebody who has lost their faculties. They become mental. Those are the people who strive to reinvent the wheel. It can happen. This happens on every video I see when someone shows up at a protest. It always ends the same way as you were talking about. Yes, exactly. And I know that there are people out there trying to, I don't know, reason with them or to expose the train of thought. That's why I really do believe these things are dangerous. You know, you look at this guy who shot Charlie Kirk, right? You have to really think about what this guy's mindset was, in the sense of he did not want Charlie Kirk to have the ability to reason these things out. He had to be extinguished, because it's never about the conversation. It's never about negotiating. You cannot negotiate with a rabid animal. You can't. I jokingly say this all the time. Like, why don't I go outdoors? I'm just like, because, look, the animals don't speak English. I can't convince a mountain lion not to hurt me because I have kids at home. I can't reason with him. He is an animal. And he has an agenda. And when you're dealing with somebody who has an agenda, right, he comes into that debate not wanting to be changed, not wanting to be convinced. What he wants is you to heal. You must succumb to my whims. I say this is the thing, and it is the thing. Do you understand me? And I'm like, no, it's not. And you are a bigot and a Nazi. And I hate you. How am I supposed to reason with that? That kind of frustration. Do you at least want to listen to conversations? I won't talk to you because you're beneath it. You're an animal. Just like, all right, buddy. They want to break you. Do as I say or else. It's the results of a low IQ. Sorry. But I was just reading it. I wish I could find it, but the system is down here. All right, we got to get another check of weather and traffic. We are almost wrapped up. This seems like a weird day today. The whole thing is weird. I feel like I'm missing my crutch. I like the commercials running, and it's just weird. But anyway, we'll be back. Mark Christopher, he's getting you home. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. All right, y'all. Reese on the radio. All right, we're back. Reese on the radio here. We will be back to our regular broadcast tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. You won't have to go to reseontheradio.com today for the program because when we're doing the Red Sox games like this, it's kind of difficult for us to do the recording because they are on the main system. I do not know if we have a score as of yet, and what the heck. We got nothing. Still got nothing. We got no score. I thought we'd at least see a score. I noticed on Facebook we had 14 people, and I was working, listening on radio. Facebook. It's interesting, Ned. Let me tell you something that blew my mind, and this is very, very true. So I'm looking at the Facebook page one day when I was broadcasting, and when I saw this, I almost stopped doing the live feed on Facebook. And just to show you exactly what little I knew. So one day I'm looking at us, we're doing a live broadcast, and I'm looking, there's probably about 8, maybe 9 people. And then I'm listening again, and I'm looking at the screen, and I'm just like, gee, I don't know how many people checking it out. There was like 3 people. And imagine yourself being discouraged. I'm like, I have 3 people listening. What am I even doing this thing for? So anyway, I got distracted. I was doing something else, and I, sat down. And I was doing whatever. And I was saying, I don't think I could justify this, doing this thing on Facebook. And I got this thing that I'm paying for where I can broadcast the show on 4, 5, 10 different streaming services at the same time. And I'm paying for that every month out of pocket. And I said, you know what the heck? So I go back maybe 8, 9 o'clock, just going through my social media. I go through the page, and all of a sudden I go, well, that's odd. And I'm checking how many views are there. And I keep checking it every day just to be certain that I'm not losing it. And I'm going, what? And I keep looking, and sure enough, Ned, every day, it's over 500. And here's why. People can't listen all the time during work hours, and people can't watch all the time during work hours. So as it turns out, and I got this later on, of course, as people became more and more comfortable with the show, started sending me these messages, and they're going, I can't listen to you live, but I always go back and listen to the show. And I get these messages. I was just like, I listened to you. Remember Carolyn, and her son just sent me a message and says, you know what, I have to work during the times, or I'm sleeping during the times that you're on. But, when I come home and I wake up in the morning, I'll listen to yesterday's broadcast. Julie in Boston Julie, would listen to the show. She couldn't hear it during the day because she was at the job. So she would listen to it that morning. The morning after the show, and then send me a message about what was happening on the show the day before. Just people listen at different times. And I realized that it's a great asset to have the social media part, because now people can watch it whenever they want. And it's a good thing to know that they're checking out the show, and they're making it appointment radio. So this is the reason why I applaud them. I always wonder who's listening, and, and they listen at so many different times. So don't be discouraged. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. All right, folks, we are back, and it is almost time for us to get up out of here, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Melody says, I often go back and listen if I don't get to listen live. I always appreciate that. Thank you, Melody. I see. It's funny, Melody and her husband are, I always run into her and her husband all the time at certain places. It is nice to run into people. They're such a great couple. They're so cute. To run into them all the time. Oh gosh, I said cute. Sorry, that's they're not teenagers, but it's just they're an adorable couple and they're always so sweet to us. So it's nice to run into them, to see them all the time. Thank you, Melody. The show will be back in its regular form tomorrow. Again, I want to thank Rick and Jerry for showing up last night to come hang out with Roseanne and I at the Bridge Community Church, just to sit down and talk. And it was sort of an impromptu meeting, but we just sat around and talked politics and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we'll be there every Wednesday at 8:30. We're going to have a regular meeting there. We're just kind of getting our feet under us. We had coffee. Everybody ate snacks. We've got like all of these cookies and cakes and chocolate sitting there, and I can't have any of it because I'm off sugar for the past 4 weeks now, which I am going to applaud myself about. You know how tough this is? You think about it. I don't do alcohol. I don't do cigarettes, and now I've given up sugar. Okay? I'm a well of wellness. And I'm losing weight. I'm at the gym every day. I missed this morning, though. But I come at the gym every morning, even when I don't feel like it. I get up and I go, I don't feel like doing it. And I do it anyway. And I swear it out. And I'm doing 2.5 miles now. I was doing two miles for like 2-3 weeks. Now I'm doing 2.5, and I'm working really hard to get up to 3 miles. Can't wait, because actually in June, I'm going to be doing that walk-run marathon. We had Davey Edwards from Open Doors Outdoors here, and he said, I'm going to do that. Yeah, man, I'm going to do that thing. A walk-run marathon? Hell yeah, I'm going to do that. Because I'll be honest with you, I've been thinking about this a lot. This is so true. On the treadmill, there's no escape. I mean, if you think about it, all right? There's a weirdness about this. And I don't know if you experience this. Somebody's going to have to tell me if they do. I'm telling you a little tale out of school. But if you do a treadmill every morning, I would love to hear from you. So go to reeseontheradio.com or just, follow me, on Facebook or X or whatever. It's an interesting question I have. So I was saying, wow, I do the 2 miles on the treadmill, not easily, but I do it. And I don't give up. And I put in a good run. And it's a walk run. I do about 3.5 walk and do about a 5.5 on the run. It's like a jog, as Ron Burgundy would say. I think a jog. And so I split it up. And now I'm up to 35 minutes. I was just doing 30. Now I'm up to 35. So now I'm getting in a good 2 3/4 miles, 2.5 miles. And getting a good sweat. And it's good. I love it. And I was thinking one day as I was on there, would I be able to cover that kind of jog or walk run if I were out in the street? Because, would I give up and just sort of walk through most of it? Just come at a slow pace. And I think the treadmill keeps me honest because it's running at that speed, all the time. I have to do the time. It's nonstop. I feel like I could not do that out in the world because then I control the pace in which I go. And if I get a pain or if I feel something in the gut, I can give up on myself and just go, no, walk. The treadmill, I have to do it. I'm trying not to pull that emergency brake. And I'll go there. Sometimes I will feel it. That one little pain will come in and I'll be like, argh. Roseanne tells me that she says, pain is weakness leaving the body. Sometimes it's just pain, damn it. Sometimes it's just pain. Sometimes it's pain entering the body. That's what it is. I try not to. Outdoor hiking, Sleeping Giant, lots of trails. Yeah, I would do the hiking thing, but I don't understand it. I don't. I know people do it. I just don't understand it. And I'm sorry, you have too many wild animals here for me to mess around with. I'm not messing with your wild animals. Roland messed with me, and he told me that there was a guy who was working outside in a yard, and whatever he had on the noise that he was making, didn't realize there was a big brown black bear or whatever it was behind him. He didn't realize it. And Roland had to honk the horn to let the guy know that there was a bear. I was like, how far away? It was like 20 feet. It had to be maybe a little more than that. But the guy didn't even see it there. Now I'm going out to the car, and I'm like, is there going to be a bobcat waiting for me out there? Like, nope. I'm not doing it. That's so, with all due respect, the treadmill inside is enough for me. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I can't mess with all that craziness. But yeah, I always wonder from the people who run outside versus running on a treadmill, do you give yourself, do you find yourself cheating a little bit on the road? Because I would. The terrain is different. It's uphill, it's downhill. You're dealing with the elements. The wind is blowing you, and you got the cars and that stuff, and it sort of disrupts. On a treadmill, it's constant. I like the treadmill. I don't think I could be this distance runner. I see the guys running out in the neighborhoods, and I'm like, no. And some of you knuckleheads do it out in the cold. Out there in 20-degree temperature, all bundled up, ready to go in your Asics. Asics, that's the sneaker brand, for those of you who don't know. Out there in the Asics sneakers, that's an official running shoe. I remember when I was a kid, those things were popular. But anyway, I just don't understand that. Tide Firmer got attacked by some animal. Yes, you are so right, Michael B. And it was a raccoon. A raccoon attacked him, and it had rabies. I'll never forget that. He was freaked out, and it was underneath his car. I totally remember that. That was wild. Speaking of rabid, apparently there's a story about a Florida man who was in an AA meeting. What is that? Florida man leaves AA meeting, does cocaine, drinks and smokes pot, and then crashes through the gate at Daytona Beach Airport and tries to hijack a plane. What? He says, I was at my house. I went to an AA meeting. The next thing I know, I was doing cocaine, drinking, and smoking pot. Folks, this is the reason why you need to come and hang out with me on Wednesday nights at 8:30. Ned says, Pelotron watching a program. Treadmill also. Yes, absolutely. It makes, and I take my phone, Ned, and I put it on the little stand that the treadmill has, and I just watch Fox News in the morning, Fox and Friends, probably because I refuse to watch anybody else. And if I'm not in the mood to watch the news, then I'll just play my playlist on YouTube Music. That's the route that I go in. I just do that, and that's good. Yeah, wow, this poor guy. This has got to be the, it's just, I don't know. And he's an older gentleman. He's not even young. This guy looks like he's in early 60s, late 50s at least. To just be at an AA meeting and then just go do it all. I mean, unless he got like a phone call that, from your doctor, so to speak, and he gives you that call and he says, you got 6 weeks. And the guy goes, all right, screw it. That's the kind of thing that I would understand. I would just look at the guy and go, hey, do your thing, buddy. Do your thing. Anyway. Wow, what do we have? 8 minutes? This is the type of show. I had some stuff prepared. I went through it so fast because I have all of this time to speak, and I'm just out of sorts. Oh, Roseanne, it should be back tomorrow. Now that I think about it, today's Thursday. I forgot. How is it that we're getting through this week so fast? I don't even understand that. We are just literally just flying by. And it just, again, here we are. Oh, is the new X-Files? Yeah, they replaced, yes, I thought about that. Okay, I already know everything about that. Tomorrow, I have 4 different stories I need to finish, and I'm going to talk to you about, so stand by for that tomorrow. I was looking at some numbers. I understand that people are not watching the show on X the way that they used to, and I've come to feel, I think I've come to understand why. I want to talk about that as well tomorrow. I've realized why that is, and X is a really weird place. And that's been sort of driving me through the roof. I understand that Grok is down. So Elon's search engine is doing some weird things online. So I'm looking into that and find out what's going on there. Thank you guys so much for watching my video I posted about Al Sharpton earlier today on X. I mean, well, not on X, on Facebook. I posted that, and you guys responded to that in seconds. I have to give you guys a lot of props for that. See, I don't even know whether or not this is, it doesn't look like it is. Yeah, it looks like it's a mess over there at Grok. It's not working. Something is down. Yeah, it looks like it's a mess. All right, with that, let me see. Other things that are going on. I don't have any other news or any views to share with you today. Like I said, Roseanne will be back tomorrow. I don't know what exactly we're supposed to be discussing with her tomorrow. Oh, yes, I know what I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm going to talk about. There's a story out of, goodness gracious, in Barcelona. I don't know if you've been covering the story, but Barcelona has euthanasia in the country. And there is a woman who is paralyzed, who is fighting to take her own life. And she is fighting with her own father for her right to die. And this trend is becoming very popular. If you guys remember, back in 2022, when I joined WTIC, I talked about this at length. Canada has a program called MAID. It's called Medical Assisted in Dying. And that has become, in fact, there's a commercial. I didn't even know this. There's an advertisement that came out in 2022 that has now gone viral again, because it is an ad that this young lady who is about to, again, die through MAID, she is talking about what she imagines her death to be like. They're advertising this in Connecticut. In Canada. Connecticut? Hope not. Please no. In Canada. I want to talk about that because this woman's story in Barcelona is so sad. And it's, when you find out about this young woman's pain, and I'm sure many of you will go look her up, when you find out this woman's pain and why she wants to take her own life, it really puts a lot of things in perspective, because I don't think there is a way to convince this woman because of what happened to her. And it is, for me, as I read this story, it is so compelling to me. I'll put it this way. As a radio host who's supposed to break this kind of stuff down all over the place, you kind of form an opinion, you base it on your own life, and you go, okay, and here's why I believe this, or these are the reasons I see this is wrong. I'm looking at this, and I'm going, of course I think it's wrong for her to take her own life. Of course I do. I find that appalling that somebody would want to. But then I heard her story, and I'm going, this is one of those things where you go, I can't understand this woman's pain. I can't. It's so horrible of a story. You have to walk back and go, peace be with you, ma'am. So, again, she's a paralyzed 25-year-old who suffered a brutal attack years ago and decided she no longer wants to live. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to have Roseanne here, and this might even be a difficult subject for her to talk about. But I'm going to sort of, it's one of the rare times where I actually cue Roseanne in on the subject matter we're going to do. Usually I just, I throw her in on the deep end and just get her opinion. This one I'm going to have to sort of buffer because it's tough. And Roseanne has experienced this in her life. So I kind of want to ease her in because I would never, ever want to shock her with this kind of story. Any chance you're doing another show at In Between Rounds on a Friday because I'm off that day? Ned, you and I must be simpatico. I just talked to Joey about that exact thing. And he and I are going to have a conversation very soon about doing a live broadcast. Tomorrow, they are doing one with Brian Shackman. If you're interested in that, go look it up. I think you can find it online. He is darting across Connecticut. So if you want to hang out with Brian, you can tomorrow. But you're 100% right, Ned. And you know what? I will work on making sure it's a Friday. All right? Thank you, TJ. I'm just winging it, my friend. Thank you, TJ. I will. And again, TJ is going to be joining us on Tuesday. So make sure you tune in for that. Well, I will give you all the details tomorrow when Roseanne's here. We are excited to have this young man on the program. He is a broadcaster extraordinaire. He podcasts, but I'm just calling him a broadcaster because he's messing with the big dogs now. All right, and I can't wait to meet him and give you an opportunity to meet him as well. You're going to love this kid. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night and a pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here at 2 p.m., a regularly scheduled program on WTIC. Mark Christopher, he is getting you home. He's in the WTIC, he is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. I have no idea where I am. I'll see you guys tomorrow.